I'm Goldie Metcalf.
And I'm Charlie Naughton.
And this is Midnight in Baghdad, episode 44. We have a fantastic show lined up for you folks. Coming up later on, we're going to talk about burning down the house. We've got features such as wife has an unusual snack. We have a typo that brings a man back from the dead. Who could have thunk it, eh? We also have a new way to fly. And we've got some other interesting and wonderful stories for you later on in the show. We obviously have a fantastic agony aunt
Lineup of guests.
A lineup of guests, hopefully, yeah, we'll join in. We have the agony aunt feature, but we also have a new feature on the show called Charlie's Choice that we look to getting forward to later on in the show. So it's going to be definitely a fantastic night. Charlie, welcome to the show.
Thanks a million, Goldie. It's good to be back. I've always wondered about agony aunt. In this day and age, is that a bit sexist, do you think?
I don't think it is. You can have an agony uncle. Do you know what I mean? I think there is agony uncle columns as well. So no, it's not
So
sexist.
why do we call this agony aunt? Considering you're a bloke.
And
are you an uncle?
I am an uncle, and I guess I'm an aunt. You know, it's... That's the reality of it, you know. But no, I think it's a warm person to kind of come and talk to. It's an analogy, I guess, you know. But we're going to talk to you
Analogy.
Exactly. We also start the show. Benji Boyle, welcome into the studio. Quick off the mark there tonight. We want to talk to you about a kind of hard-hitting topic to get us going, okay? We talked about burning down the house. Now, I'm talking more specifically about a fire that destroys a County Galway house purchased by council for the Traveller family. Did you hear about this story, Charlie, during the week?
No.
Okay. Well, basically what happens in this story is that there's this small town in Galway near the airport, and there was a house in the town that was bought by the city council for a Traveller family. Now, for people that don't know what a Traveller family is, essentially a gypsy traveller. A gypsy family is essentially what a traveller is. It's an Irish gypsy, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. So the house was burnt down before the family could move in. And why do you think that was, Charlie?
Are you presuming they didn't burn it down themselves, yeah?
Well, that's an interesting one. Why would the family burn it down themselves?
Well, there's a lot of traveller families who are would claim they're being forced into, settled houses. They want to live a nomadic life, and the council will give them a house rather than have them setting up, in the county. So there's a suspicion, I suppose, that the travellers might have burned it down themselves. You're going to tell me that's not the case?
No, it's not the case. I've never heard what you're saying. So you're basically saying that these people actually don't want to come out of the squalor they're in. They want to stay where they are and not move to a home.
Yeah.
No, it's completely the opposite. And the Traveller family are absolutely distraught over this. Now, certainly we're being led to believe that. Is probably the fairest way to put it.
That they have feelings.
Well, no, but it's just, we're being led to believe that they're disgusted over it. We don't know, if it's true or not in today's society. Yeah. But no, the insinuation here is that there's people in the town didn't want them to move in to their area, so they burned. The people of the town probably got together, or some individual or whoever in the town got together, decided to burn it down so they couldn't move in. And that's what's kind of insinuated here. So it's going to cost €388,000 for the four bedroom property, and then with the renovations, it was going to cost the council $430,000. Now, bearing in mind that this house was actually on the market, so there was actually people who could afford the house, who were working, tried to bid on it, but the council actually outbid them, which is insane. So,
yeah.
Buzz, how are you? Welcome to the show. So, you can kind of imagine that these people would have kicked up. There would have been council meetings and town meetings, and the people were giving out and complaining against it. But it came to the point where they actually burnt the house down. How do you feel about that, Charlie?
Well, has it been proved? It was did people know who did it?
Well, there was definitely an accelerant used to start the fire,
right.
So it wasn't a mistake, or it wasn't an accident or whatever, So somebody did do it, but there's no suspects at the moment.
Right. Well, Goalie, would you want travellers living on your street?
Well, this is what I want to kind of question you about. I don't think anybody would.
Yeah.
And that probably in today's society is not acceptable to say. But there's not a doubt about me that everyone that's listening to this show will answer the same as I am. So it's a bit hypocritical, I think, for the council to come along and say, well, you know, we're going to put these people here because it's nowhere near any of where the councillors live. It's nowhere near.
Yeah, of course.
It's very easy to make those decisions. But if it was put into their area, there's no way they would allow it whatsoever.
Yeah. What Goalie, was it being built in? Was the house that was bought for the travellers? Was it in a kind of working class estate? You know, those kind of.
It's one of these kind of small towns in Galway where people probably would have worked their asses off all their life just to pay off their mortgage or to live a basic standard of living through hard labour and maybe farming or something like that, you know, and have built this nest egg and got to a stage in their lives now where they're able to settle down and take it easy. And the next thing, they're rewarded for their hard labour by a fucking group of travellers moving in. Do you know? And that's and not have a say on that. That seems crazy. But at the same time, is that a horrible thing to say?
Well, first of all, Goalie, legally, they obviously can't have a say on a house that they don't own. It's a house in their street. They can't have a say over who, you know, buys it and who lives there.
Oh, I know that, but it's
obviously.
But like, it's very different if, you know, people we can all, you know, have bad neighbours and stuff like that, and some neighbours might stalk other neighbours and stuff like that might go on. But you know, you kind of get on with that and you take that chance. But when you know that there's a group of travellers going to be moving in, that's force upon you.
You're like, fuck this.
You're like, come on, this is taking a fucking piss.
I'll accept a stalker, I'll accept a pedo, but not traveller.
Yeah, but it's just because obviously the travellers are associated, and there's no real statistics that I can find like you would if you're researching kind of this in America. There's no real statistics to say.
It's because they don't fill out any census.
Probably. Because, you know, we don't know how many are involved in crime. We don't know how many are involved in crime. We don't know how many do this, but we can kind of all guess a very high percentage, can't we? Like, yeah, because that's our mind.
How many travellers are there in Ireland?
Like, but you know what I mean? So, you know, we have a stigma about it, and I just think there's so many levels you can talk about this. I think as a people we're very hypocritical. Because we're on one hand we're saying it's terrible what's happening to Black Lives Matter, it's terrible what's happening to feminism and women and all this kind of stuff, but yet we can shout from the rooftops how bad that is. But when it's actually closer to home and we're talking about basically the same people that we're supporting in another way, we're turning around and we're not accepting it. I think, do you know what I'm trying to say? It's a contradiction.
Yeah. I will say this: black people and women live inside the justice system.
You're kind of breaking up there, Charlie. Charlie, you're breaking up on me, buddy.
Okay.
Do you
want me to ring in again?
No, just stop running around or doing whatever you're doing, or find a spot that's
I'm sitting right here.
Okay.
I'm sitting in the same place.
Okay.
Travellers want to live outside our rules and our society, and they don't want to have to pay any tax, and they want all the handouts of it. You know, so you can compare Black Lives Matter or feminism to people, to, you know, people's feelings about travellers.
You don't think
It's a very instinctive reaction we have. No, I don't think you can.
But is that not you? Just
sorry, pour your drink there.
Because you're telling me that they live outside, to decide to live out the law, that they're different. But is that not just your stereotypical opinion? That might not be true. You're just assuming
no, it is true.
Live outside the law.
There
might be
yes, they do want to live outside the law.
Not all of them.
Settled travellers can't live outside the law. They have to pay certain things because they're living in a house and so on. Well, they actually probably don't. They probably don't pay property taxes or anything like that. No, but we all know that travellers themselves who move, they live outside the law. You know, they don't feel they are beholden to the normal laws that a citizen is. So I don't think you could absolutely call someone hypocritical if they're supporting Black Lives Matter and then they turn around and say, not that they're going to say travellers' lives don't matter, but you're saying they don't have a lot of time for travellers.
Absolutely.
I do think there's a difference. No.
I don't know if there is a difference, to be honest with you. I don't know if there is. I can see where you're coming from, but I think it's still hypocritical, like, you know. I think what you're trying to say is
A
that
traveling family live on my road. They bought a house about 2 years ago, and they used to own a house about 300 meters, up the road outside my children's school.
Yeah.
And the house was infamous because it was just disgusting. You'd know travelers lived there. The front yard was full of junk and so on and so on.
Yeah.
But they sold that house. Now they bought this house themselves, apparently, privately.
Yeah.
Paid literally in cash. Like it's one of these cliches. But now, in fairness to them, apart from every now and then these crazy parties, they haven't caused any trouble, and they've been here over a year.
Okay.
So, but no one wanted them. But at the end of the day, we couldn't stop them. They weren't getting a house by the council, which is your example. They bought it themselves.
Yeah, but so nobody actually they didn't put up caravans or anything like that, or they didn't like you're saying they just had a dirty garden. That was it.
In the old house they lived, like they basically moved 300,
eyesore, wasn't it?
Yeah, their original house, yeah.
I just think,
but
what you're saying,
a friend of mine,
they paid in cash, and that's what kind of gets to me a little bit as well. Like you see them with all this wealth that they have, and they're able to buy houses and buy cars and do whatever they're doing. It's kind of well known that travellers are fairly well off financially, but yet we all have these movements that say, it's not fair that they live in squalor and they live in dirty places, that rat-infested places or whatever.
And they're fucking loaded compared to us.
Yeah, and they don't have sanitation and stuff, but they're choosing that. Do you know what I mean? I think that is the difference. They're choosing it as a way of life, rather than...
There you go. They're living outside the law. They're not having bank accounts, paying a bank charge. They're not paying tax, etc., etc.
Yeah. So I suppose you can sympathise with these people.
Not at all.
I mean, sympathise
with the people that burned it.
Yeah.
Goldie, if I had thought of that myself, a friend of mine lives in the Lake District. Okay, it's 4 isolated houses, and there's a massive field in between the 4 houses. So these 4 neighbours live in the Lake District in this area, and a huge field went up for sale, kind of in between them. I always picture it as a square, and the 4 houses at either end of the square, right? So a huge field in the middle of them went up for sale. And the 4 people that owned the house, one of whom was my friend, they all started panicking, thinking that a property developer is going to buy it, or a hotel is going to buy it, or whatever, Yeah. So between the 4 of them, they bought that land and got a solicitor to write up that none of the 4 people could ever sell that piece of land without the permission of the other 3, and no one could build on it, etc. So they basically bought it to stop it being... Yeah. They took control of the situation, So I suppose your example in Galway is different, but I suppose, like, let's say my example in my estate, I suppose every person in my estate, if we felt strongly enough about it, we could have divvied up a bit of, stumped up a bit of money to buy that house between us to kind of stop the travellers. But then would we be found guilty of something or accused of something,
Potentially, yeah, potentially. But I think that what you're saying is that if you had the opportunity to do it, you would have done it. You would have burned it down.
Absolutely.
If you thought you could get away with it, like, you'd burn it down, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Actually, while listening to Tom Jones.
Burning down the house. What's new, pussycat? Yeah, I can see that working.
But my heart goes out to those poor travellers. It's terrible. It's absolutely disgraceful.
I think the answer is somewhere in there. No, but it is.
No, it's not. We don't have to be politically correct.
No,
we're on the show.
Okay, but I can tell you something. Even if we don't, let's just say, take for example, we don't have to be politically correct now, right? Sorry, a bit of a stutter. We don't have to be politically correct now, and society might accept that now. But in 5 years' time, when we're at the top of our game, this could come back to haunt us. Do you know what I mean? Because society will move on and we'll be ruined. So I think you need to prepare for the worst. I think the answer's somewhere in the middle. Do you know what I mean?
So you just said prepare for the worst.
I'm just saying. Some of them are good. Some of them are not.
Are not so good.
Are not good at maintaining law. Yeah. So it's
So Midnight in Baghdad does not condone what happened to that house.
No. While we can empathise with it, we need to rise above it and be better than that, I think, is the answer.
Okay. Goldie, do you know, are the council rebuilding that house, did you say, for the travellers then? They're just going to rebuild it from scratch. So it's pointless.
Yeah, but they're going to put more money in, but then somebody else is going to burn the fucking thing down. Do you know what I mean? This is going to be something that's just going to go on and on until there's no more travellers living there. And the people will probably win, realistically, when it comes to something like this.
Do you think, yeah?
I think so, yeah. Because, you know, how much money do you keep pumping back into something as a point of principle, you know?
Yeah, I suppose.
Particularly in current economic times.
I empathise with the people on that road, though. I know you're saying you empathise with the travellers, and of course I do. God love them. But I empathise with...
We can empathise with all. We might have sympathy.
I even empathise with the house.
We might have sympathy for one. But speaking of rat infestations, and this is a story that was brought into us by Buzz, and Buzz was kind of... He asked me, could I get this onto the show earlier on, and I said, I'm not sure. I said that the schedule is pretty full, but he said, whatever you can do. So I have it here, right?
Okay. Buzz.
Yeah, Buzz Holloway. Holloway.
Oh, is this the lad we met at the gangbang last week?
Correct. So I talked about the woman's midnight snack, or unusual snack. A wife bites off husband's penis after he refuses to get the rat out of the bedroom. Now, we've seen a lot of genital mutilation in the show of recent times where women enact revenge by cutting their penises off and stuff like that, and it seems to be becoming more popular. Ron McClown, how are you? Welcome to the show. But it's becoming more prevalent. So basically, Abraham Masonda, who was 52, was set upon by his 40-year-old wife when he refused to remove a rat she found near her bed at their home in the Zambian town of Kitwe.
Well, I love the way it reads, was set upon, as if like she's a dog and someone's holding her back.
But you have to remember, this is in Zambia. Do you know what I mean? So, like...
It's not even a real country, yeah.
No, but like, it's like, you know...
So what was she charged with, anything?
So she bit off the husband's penis. So basically, she came home from work, I think it is, because she came home from drinks with her pals and became infuriated when the rat was in the yeah. So she ordered her husband to get it out, and he was basically like, a little scuffle happened between them, and then she went down and grabbed bit basically into his fucking genitals, causing a major tear. It's
so they're fighting, and suddenly like she ends up going down on him.
Basically, so he
how did they get from that stage to that stage?
I imagine that they were fighting, and like she just ended up going down.
And he was in the nude, like.
Yeah, he just sleeps naked. But what you're saying is that maybe she tricked him. Right. Maybe they were having a fight, and then she like thought, oh, I'll pretend I'm just going to go down on him to disarm him, and then I'm going to bite his dick off. It could be either one. I don't know.
Yeah. When you're the guru, you've always said makeup sex is the best. You've always said that.
Well, yeah, I have. Thanks for sharing.
Not for this guy.
Not for this guy, indeed. No, and that's it. They can get you strongly, but like it's fucking crazy that. First of all, like the fact that there was a rat in the room, right? Obviously, again, you're talking about Zambia, so you can probably think that it might be something normal. Because she just felt pest. But she no, and I mean that in the best ways, because like it just seemed to be normal because it didn't bother him. Do you know what I mean? And
right, yeah.
And she was like, she came home from drinks and she said that the animal was pestering her, like as if like a fly would pester you. Do you know what I mean? Like if we go to bed in the summer and there's a fly in your
so
room.
She wasn't the way we discussed it if there was a rat in our house.
Yeah, it was there and it was
you wouldn't want to go into the house. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no way I'd be lying in the fucking bed with a rat, knowing there's a rat in the fucking corner. Like, are you kidding me? We've all read James Herbert's books, for fuck's sake. But but even if there was a fly, if there was a fly flying around my room at night, I'll have to fucking go after it. I can't go to sleep until I fucking catch the fucker or get rid of him. Do you know what I mean? The thoughts of him landing on my face and stuff. And I know that happens anyway, but when you're aware of it, no, that fucker has to go. I'm like your man out of fucking Breaking Bad. You know that episode that they just...
That whole episode, yeah.
Just to save a few bob, they made this kind of iconic episode. But
it is a very boring episode, though.
It is, but it's art now, so when you look at it, you kind of read all sorts into it. But, so she has been charged, I think.
Okay, so Goldie, take us through it. Like, how, would you say the guy was hard or soft when she bit it off. I mean, is it going to be easier to do it one way or the other, do you think?
I don't know. Instinctively, you'd probably think when it was hard, it'd be easier, but the reality is it probably wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like you can imagine, as somebody said to me the other day, what would happen if you plucked it? It's not like it would explode, like, explode juices into your mouth. It'd be more fleshy, I suppose, if it was soft. Do you know what I mean?
If you plucked it.
Yeah, there was a story the other day, I don't know if you saw it, where this fella said he couldn't go to training because he'd taken 3 Viagra with some girl he was with.
I heard about this.
His penis
ridiculous.
Exploded. His penis exploded. Like it was like a fucking rugby ball in his fucking hand.
But the top of it was still normal. That was the freaky thing, wasn't it? It was like just a bulge in the middle section.
It was just kind of down the middle, yeah. But this massive big thing, and he was afraid, obviously, to go to the doctor because he was embarrassed. But he was one of the people I sent the video to said to me, "What would happen if you stuck a pin in it?" But it kind of, I was like, one of the answers from one of the other lads in the group was he'd fly around the room, but like a balloon, But
as if it was full of air.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm guessing though, serious conversation. It was full of blood in reality.
Oh, it would be.
Like you could have gotten a blood clot. That's why I couldn't understand. Not going to the doctor. That was presumably blood, isn't it? It's blood that goes to your shaft that makes it erect.
Exactly.
So presumably that was all blood. In danger of coagulating or whatever.
Yeah.
Is the chap still with us?
He is, yeah, he is. I'm just reading it. It comes
alive
it
and
comes
running
after
around,
a man was arrested after beating his girlfriend's son and allegedly cutting his genitals with his fingernails. This is another story. I don't know if it's...
What?
It seems to be all related. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Yeah, we can follow that up later on, but it's an unusual one.
That's very interesting. So she bit off his penis anyway. Whether it's hard or soft, you'd imagine it would take like a long. She's not gonna bite it off in one swift go.
No, I say she just grabbed it with her teeth and ripped it. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think we need to be going into too much detail because I'm sure the listeners
I'm just
are
wondering
all,
what was the guy?
Right,
what was the guy doing? Yeah. And the question I'd love to know is how long was it before he masturbated again?
Yeah, well...
Because that's the big one.
It'll be a fucking long time, I can tell you that much.
You'd be surprised. I'll never forget when I had an operation down there and I was thinking, I'm not going to go near myself for ages.
Yeah.
Ages.
But you did it the same day. You're breaking up there again.
24 hours, but it was a very gentle one.
Hey, Charlie,
okay.
you're masturbating again.
Can you hear me? I'm not moving.
Okay, within 24 hours you were masturbating.
But it wasn't like a normal masturbation. It wasn't like stroking the shaft. It was more just, I can't even describe it, but yeah, I have to. But it was more out of curiosity rather than arousal.
You had a frictionless wank, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You barely touched it.
It was 24 hours after, but I actually started it an hour after the operation, so it took 24 hours to come.
Yeah. But that's it. Like, it does take that long, but it's such an amazing and intense sensation. So definitely,
it's not worth it for that long.
I think it is.
You're mad into your slow build up. I don't get that at all. Not a wonder our shows go on for 3 hours.
No, but you get an extra second or two of pleasure. It's a beautiful, and I encourage everyone to do it. And I'm sure women could probably.
Whereas I think it's the opposite. Well, I do imagine for women it seems to be traditionally more the build than the orgasm.
Yeah.
Although the multiple orgasm for women, I think having a multiple orgasm kind of undermines the orgasm itself, because for a man, the orgasm is how many times can you orgasm in a night? Maybe 4 or 5 times. So each one is kind of special. Are you including the early hours in the morning and the next morning and stuff?
Well, without going to sleep.
That's very good.
Without going to sleep,
right. So in you rent a hotel room kind of thing. From the moment you enter the hotel to the moment you leave, yeah?
I wouldn't just rent a hotel room to have a fucking wank. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, having a wank? Yeah, sorry.
No, well, I'm talking about how many times you can actually ejaculate. Now, you get to the stage where it's just a little puff of dust, but you'll get there. And it gets more intense as the time goes on. That's probably because it's fucking raw red.
I'd love if one of the listeners could check the Guinness Book of Records. There must be the most amount of times that someone has ejaculated in 24 hours. There has to be a Guinness Book of Records.
At least a milliliter. There has to be a minimum level, I'd say.
Yeah.
You'd have to cut it off at some point. But it's actually funny that you're mentioning...
What would you imagine is the number, goalie? If you had to guess, if there is a Guinness Book of Records.
To get a milliliter out, Jesus.
In 24 hours, yeah.
Oh, in 24
What
hours?
is a milliliter?
Like 24 hours?
Yeah, is that a tiny drop?
24 hours including sleep?
I'd imagine if you're going, like, you know, Facebook record, so you go 24 hours and try to come as many times as he could. So what would you say is the record?
I'd
if
say
there is
15. Like, what I'm saying, I could get to 15.
Okay.
I think in 24 hours, you could with the right material and frame of mind. You probably could, yeah. I think you could. But we diverge or diverge. What's the word? Diverge.
Diverged. Yeah. Diverged. Digressed.
But you're talking about stimulation, and you also want to talk to me a bit about simulation. I believe, Charlie. Video game simulates
simulation. Yeah.
Of flying economy class. So you're basically telling me there's a game out there that is a simulator for flying economy class.
Yeah, it's not actually out yet, but it's going to be out by the end of the year, they promise.
Okay.
And it's called Airplane Mode. And it always makes me think, you're always telling me...
I'm just playing the video here on the page just so people can look at it.
Oh, the video is brilliant. It's so corny. Yeah, it's so corny to have a video like that in this day and age.
Yeah.
So it's called Airplane Mode, and it's coming out at the end of the year. And you're mad into flight simulation games where you're the pilot, you know?
Yeah.
And
I have my virtual pilot's license,
What is that exactly? Tell the audience what it is.
I'm basically a certified virtual pilot. So obviously, while I'm not a real world pilot, I'm actually I'm at a certain level to be legally allowed fly a virtual plane online.
Right. Otherwise, in the movies or whatever, someone gets sick and everyone goes, "Is there a doctor here?" And then a doctor, "That on a real plane. Is there a pilot? Can you?"
You're breaking up there again, Charlie.
You can't say, "Oh, I'm a pilot."
Well, I think this is the point.
Did you hear me with the?
I kind of get. I think I get what you're saying. That if I'm playing this game, say for example, where I'm actually a virtual passenger, and somebody comes out and says, "Is there anyone here that's qualified to fly a plane?" I would be probably the person that stood up. Yes.
Right. So you would genuinely believe you know how to fly a real passenger.
Virtually, yeah. Virtually.
yeah, I know. But if in the real world it happened, the two pilots died. The two pilots died.
In game,
and the air hostesses come up. Would you do it? Would you have the confidence to stand up and take all the lives of the passengers?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, definitely would. Yeah. Virtually.
You'd love it, would you?
I'd love it. That's the dream.
No, I don't mean virtually. I mean if it happened to you and your partner, and yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't get. I don't get onto a flight where I don't think about that. You know, any flight I take, I'm fucking studying the charts an hour or two before I go to the airport. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at the route. I'm looking at the fucking model plane. Do you know?
Right.
You're
gas.
I'm not taking chances. But of course.
So you do it in real life if you have to.
Well, listen.
That's a big thing, man.
We've talked about this, I think, previously on the show. I've done it in real life, virtually. And I mean not just at home. I mean in their actual simulators.
I've done it in real life, virtually.
Yeah, but I'm talking about sitting in the actual multi-million-dollar simulator and doing it. And I have done it successfully. Right. But that you can never simulate the adrenaline, the tension, the nervousness, the actual feel.
The fact that the passengers' lives are real.
Yeah. So, obviously it's one of those fantasies, isn't it, that you have, but
knowing you as I do, I do think you'd probably really stand up and offer your services anyway.
Of course I fucking would. I'd be like, listen, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to fucking at least make a story of it, do you know what I mean?
Don't say that though when you're volunteering.
No, but if the plane is fucking doomed anyway, what have I got to fucking lose? I'm going to be like the wannabe hero. Do you know what I mean?
So the air hostesses ask, "Oh my God, thank God, what routes have you done?" And you're like, "I've done Dublin to Paris, Dublin to LondonPC.com, whatever."
No, but you're fucking right. And if you save them, well, then, Jesus Christ, aren't you a hero? Do you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
fuck it. Yeah, I definitely.
Although, remember that film Flight that we watched? That guy is a hero, and then he doesn't he get. He was on drugs.
Yeah, scrutiny afterwards. It's a brilliant. It's actual that scene is fantastic, because when you know what comes at the end of the movie and you rewatch the film, and you watch him on his pre-flight, and when he gets into the cockpit and how he's talking to your man
Yeah.
and stuff, you kind of you see it in a whole new light. Like, it's brilliant. It's very, very good.
Is the suggestion that if he wasn't kind of stoned or whatever, he wouldn't have done that move?
Quite potentially, yeah. It might have
Confident.
been,
You wouldn't have thought he could pull. Yeah.
it might have been the case that, it's because this gave him the courage to do it. You know what I mean? But does the end justify the means?
The recklessness. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if he. I don't think he tries to fight that, because he does. I think he tries to deny it rather than say he was on the drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it comes out. Yeah, you're right.
And then I think.
But even Sully got some criticism for landing in, what river did he land in? The Hudson, was it, or something?
River, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone viewed him as a hero, but then he kind of got criticism from real pilots afterwards, saying that there were so many other options you could have taken, etc., etc.
Yeah, but I think, didn't they do? Yeah, there was other options you could have taken, but he was, in his mind, it wasn't going to be feasible. And didn't a lot of other pilots, like many other pilots, attempt to do what he did virtually, and weren't successful.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think anyone else could have done it, or were able to do it, and that's why he's kind of so controversial. Like, obviously, it's skill, but they're trying to. I don't know what they're trying to say. They're trying to basically.
So are you saying, like, if he had to do it again, he mightn't have succeeded? Or
I guess they'd probably have to come out and say, don't try this at home, folks. Do you know what I mean? Because nobody. It was just pure luck that he did it, or somebody as skilled as him only comes along. So whatever, like, the probability is you will fail if you do this. So they can't really endorse it either. I kind of get that, but who knows?
But you said there, the end justifies the means. I mean, he's done it, and he saved the lives of all them.
Yeah. But talk to me about the game itself. You brought it to my attention for.
Okay. Yeah. So well, first of all, because it's the kind of game you love, like with a difference. So you love the flight simulator games where you're the pilot. This guy is bringing out this.
Online. It's a kind of an overview of the game. But go ahead.
Okay. So this game that's coming out is called Airplane Mode, but you're not a pilot. You're just going to be a passenger, and you're just going to be an economy passenger. So you're not even going to be first class or anything. And it's supposed to, this is what the game maker says, it's going to capture the intense excitement of being an economy class passenger on a long haul flight. So I was thinking, what is the game going to be? Now, the game hasn't been released, but a couple of people have reviewed it. You know the way people get advanced copies and so on of it. So there's only 2 flights that you do. So imagine a game with only 2 levels or whatever.
Okay.
So there's 2 flights, a 6-hour trip from New York to Reykjavik in Iceland, and a 2.5-hour flight from New York to Halifax up in Nova Scotia. And it's in real time. So if you do like the New York flight to Reykjavik, it's going to take you 6 hours.
Yeah.
And you're a passenger on it. So what can you do on the 6-hour flight? Well, you're sitting there, the plane taxis, it takes off, and it's going to land. You can look out the window, and apparently what you're going to see is going to be a realistic simulation of what you'd actually see.
Photorealistic.
Yeah. So, like I always think of that Google car that goes around, taking pictures. So that must be what they did, I suppose. They got, some kind of camera to take pictures of that flight path. So you can look down and see the simulation flight path. You can order snacks and a meal. And this is just where, to me, it gets stupid. You can order snacks and a meal. So if you're a real diehard fan of this game, are you actually going to prepare the meal yourself? So you're saying to yourself, I'm going to order, an easy single sandwich. So you have it ready yourself and you have it wrapped in cellophane. Because I genuinely don't see this. It says in the game there's going to be an overhead reading light, and you get a charging cable, for your phone.
Yeah.
So how I don't understand how they do these things. Like, how's it not just going to fall flat in its face?
I think it's going to be one of those things that people buy just to try it, and it's, I suppose, like it's almost like one of those. I'll go into it in more detail in a second, but I think you're looking at it in a strange point of view. Like, why not? You don't have to make your own cheese sandwich. That's what you'd probably do with your Commodore. Maybe now, if you order a meal in game, it'll bring you to like Pizza Hut, or it'll bring you to Just Eat or whatever, and then you can actually order the food to your gaff. Like, how cool would that
That would
be?
be brilliant. That would be brilliant, yeah, if it did that, yeah.
That's going to happen now because I said it. An amazing way to commercialize it. But what you do in the game is you do crosswords and you watch movies. You can actually watch movies through the seat in the plane, and you can look around and stuff. So you can actually... Yeah. It's not like you're sitting there just doing nothing. You're actually...
I know, but think of you say you're watching movies. So you're watching movies on a tiny, like, you know, on the screens. You know the way people had for a while the DVD players in the back of their cars for the kids.
Yeah.
So it's going to be shitty quality, and the movies you watch are from the 1930s. So obviously this guy isn't prepared to pay out for modern movies. He's not prepared to buy the copyrights for modern films.
Really old films, yeah.
Yeah. But that's not realistic. Like, if you're saying it's a realistic simulation, there's no way you're getting on a flight for 6 hours and you're watching movies from the 1930s.
Netflix and, like, you've got Just Eat here. Do a deal with... I'm going to make this fella millions, Ben.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's cutting corners because the copyright thing is 70 years, so he doesn't have to pay anyone for those movies.
I know, but if you look at...
Do you ever watch a movie from the 1930s?
No, I wouldn't, no. But this is the start of it. You know, do you think Fortnite and all these other games when they came out originally, they're always... There was all different incarnations of them, basically, and this one just hit then. But it didn't hit overnight. Maybe I'm wrong, but, you know, they didn't... What they were in the beginning is not what they are now, and I think this could evolve. Into something like that.
No, fair play to the guy. He's come up with an original idea. Totally has, and it's, I suppose, expanding on the kind of games that you like, where you're the pilot. I don't like you say, if it's the springboard for something else, then fair play. I just don't see how this can work. The final thing about it is you're supposed to be able to play it loads of times, right? Even though there's only 2 flight paths. So if I'm to fly from here to New York to Nova Scotia today, and then I do it again tomorrow, there's going to be different, like, realistic,
weather and stuff.
Different random events happen. Yeah, weather, or there might be bad Wi-Fi, or there could be turbulence, like you say, or there could be delays. Yeah. There can be a baby screaming. You know, it just seems so stupid. The one thing they didn't mention in the random events that struck me that would at least make it a little bit exciting was a terrorist. Well, a crash, yeah, there's another one. Or a terrorist attack. But that's something they've gone out of their way not to make, to mention, because I think they're trying to say this is not an action game.
Yeah, no, but there'll be mods. There will be people who will take that and make that kind of shit happen, you know. I think, right. And, you know, what about joining the Mile High Club? You know, could you do that? Could you press a button and it brings you onto fucking, what's that thing? The Plenty of Fish thing, or what's the other one? The other one, the dating app thing. What's the big popular one?
Tinder,
yeah, Tinder.
Grinder. Sorry,
and all those ones. Do you know what I mean? It could bring you onto that. Your flight would be cancelled.
So you're saying, like, what you're saying is this basic idea that this guy has. You can see how you can bring in Pizza Hut or Tinder or let's say Netflix. There's ways to actually use this. Like, Netflix should contact him and say, right, we'll you're actually right. You know, in fairness. But you know what? I don't get the idea of this game. I wonder, like, will it be a success or not? Who knows? But it just seems it seems so pointless. I don't understand who enjoys traveling economy class. And if he wants this realistic experience, like, he should charge the people. Like, how much does it cost to get from New York to Reykjavik? Let's say it's $200. So every time you want to play the game, you have to actually pay $200 for real. The guy would be laughing.
It would be funny, but I don't know. I guess if you look at it in maybe the timing is perfect. Maybe people actually genuinely miss that experience, and with COVID, they're not able to fly. It's probably a little bit of a stretch.
You know what?
But maybe the timing.
You're right.
Maybe the timing is not.
It is, yeah.
You know,
I think if he had been able to bring that game out 4 months ago, he would have definitely hit a nerve with the public.
We're going to be watching YouTube videos of people on a 6-hour flight now. Do you know what I mean? And that's what's essentially going to happen. And people are going to want to tell their stories about what happened on their flight and what they unlocked or whatever. Benji says, your flight will be cancelled leaving from New York. Can you imagine you going in to load up the game? And it's like, you're not allowed on the plane for 3 hours. So you're sitting there and you're fucking...
And like your bird wants you to go out for a meal. It's your anniversary, but you're like, no, I'm sorry, I've reserved this flight. And then she comes home and you're sitting there watching telly. So I thought you were playing your game. You're like, no, the flight was cancelled.
That would be funny. But like, they'd have you in the airport then. That'll be like the next kind of level, or an underground level, or whatever you want to call it. That you're actually
and like you get
You get the little voucher and stuff.
And you're getting searched. You get your luggage searched, and you have to go through the monitor.
Yeah,
that's going to be the next step, isn't it?
We're going to make them millions.
Yeah, we should advertise them. So the game is called Airplane Mode. So it's actually a very good title. But I'm betting, is it going to be the worst game ever? Is that what it's going to be voted as?
No, I think this could be massive. I think it could be huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be the worst game ever. Okay. I think the worst game ever was. Do you remember when we were young, the Michael Jackson game, Moonwalker, or something like that?
Yeah.
On the Sega Mega Drive.
Wasn't the worst game in the world. Like,
actually, do you remember that? The way you had to rescue kids hiding in closets. Wasn't that it? That's what you did. Now when you look back on that is actually what he did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, in closets. They were hiding in closets. That's crazy.
But that's in one of his songs too, was in the closet. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I suppose, yeah. And you killed baddies or something by doing a dance move. It was ridiculous. It was. Yeah, that was the worst. That was woeful. That was a woeful game.
Have a good independent following, or like a little niche market. So we wish it.
Yeah,
we'll definitely.
I wonder, is it like what you do? I know you're big into this, goalie. The kind of what is it? The platform where you support people who have a good idea,
Kickstarter,
and they need the funds. Kickstarter. Yeah. I wonder, is that how it got started? Or is he being supported by a big company? Well, I think he must be, because he's been doing this since 2017. He announced the idea. So if it was a proper company, I presume there would be no problem with finance. Yeah. But look, best of luck to them, like you say. Absolutely. We've given them a plug on the show.
Let's hope they have more luck than our next character. Our character here was Robert Berger. Did you hear about Robert Berger? Robert basically died, okay, and got found out because there was a typo on his certificate of death.
Oh, I heard this. Yeah.
So this happened. It's in the news there in July. So he's from Huntington in New York, and he pleaded not guilty on Tuesday there in July to one count of offering a false instrument for filing. So basically, what happened was this fella was in trouble. I think he was in a fight or something, or he was awaiting sentencing on a charge of possession of a stolen Lexus and grand larceny. So basically he was going to prison and he was awaiting sentencing, and he decided he knew he was fucked, so he decided basically to come up with this thing that if he faked his death, he wouldn't have to serve his sentence in prison. So whatever way he fled the state, and it doesn't go into the details, but basically the death certificate was furnished to his lawyer, and his lawyer basically lodged it into the court.
He printed out a death certificate from online, apparently.
Yeah, but how it got from him to the lawyer, if he was supposed to be dead at the time, I don't know. It doesn't really go into detail.
Yeah.
But basically, the lawyer took it as being real, so he was convinced he was dead, and then produced this to the court, and it was only
believe that now, goalie.
Saul, the likes of Saul, would do something like that. Saul Goodman.
Yeah, like the lawyer must have turned a blind eye to what was going on. Like he must have known.
You would think so, but that hasn't been confirmed, or it's not even suggested. But literally, he got one word wrong. It was like, I think he spelled to register wrong. Like the I and the S were turned around, and that was the only reason it got copped. But isn't that fucking crazy? It's clever. Yeah. It's clever to think that he got
unbelievable.
That far.
It's very clever. Yeah. It's the guy we did on the last show, the mayor who pretended he was dead in the coffin. Do you remember?
Yes, to try to get away from the cops.
Because he didn't want. So, like, it's one thing to try to prove yourself dead, but then if he got away with this, was your fella going to have to create a new identity, or was he just hoping I can move to a new state and use my own identity and the records won't follow me or whatever?
Yeah, I he was a chancer, and I think just got very lucky. Like Sully landing on the Hudson, he got extremely lucky, I think, to get it as far as he did.
Very unlucky, yeah.
Well, maybe.
He's guilty of two things now.
One in a million things that would happen. Do you know what I mean? So, but he's going to face more time now than he originally was, which is obviously it didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
So
he can work on his spellings in prison.
Exactly. Poor Robert Berger. Charlie, COVID holidays. Talk to me.
Just before you say that, when you said the solicitor, do you honestly think his lawyer Like you said, you wonder how the lawyer got sent a death certificate, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't go into detail in relation to it, but
Do you think the lawyer should be charged?
well, if he,
As
well, if,
like a conspiracy or
yeah, of course, if the lawyer is obviously acting, he has
complicit in it, yeah.
complicit. He has to act in the framework, and that's clearly not part of it. So, yeah, the lawyers should be charged, but I don't think they'd be able to prove that. They'll be smart enough to get themselves out.
Well, we had one crazy story that we never got to on a previous show.
Yes.
If you remember, we were talking even today about judges and crazy judging decisions.
Correct.
Well, there was a lawyer who came up with a brilliant defense for his client. I'm going back 15 years now, 16 years actually. It was one of the early cases of a female teacher having sex with her male pupils.
He was 14.
So she was put on trial. He was 14, yeah. And she was, I don't know, she was very hot. She was cracking. She was in her 20s. Not that it makes it right, but technically she's guilty of, well, she's guilty of paedophilia then, I suppose, yeah?
Deborah Lafave. Yeah.
Yeah. So her lawyer came up with a very original defense, Goldie. He didn't want her put in prison because she was too beautiful, too sexy, and too hot. And because she was so good looking that she's in danger of being abused in prison, basically, and raped and molested and so on. And somehow the judge at that trial bought it. He didn't put that woman in prison at all. He gave her, he did find her guilty, but he gave her a suspended sentence and put her under house arrest or something, but she never went into prison. And the very next day in America, in a different state, a female teacher who'd had sex with her pupil was found guilty and was put in prison for 12 years. So the exact same crime. So that was a brilliant defense by the lawyer. But can you imagine him suggesting that at some meeting? He's thinking, right, our defense is going to be, we'll just deny it. Yeah. We'll say the boy came onto her. And the lad is like, we're going to be totally blatant. We're going to outface this and just say, she's too hot to put in prison.
It's amazing. It's an amazing story, and she is now reaping the rewards of that, because it says here that she's been featured on news reports, photo shoots, basically instead of scrubbing toilets. So she's probably making a lot of money from this.
They're going to make. They're making a film of it. That's why it was in the news last week. Yeah. So I think is it Reese Witherspoon or someone is going to be as her. I don't know how to get out of it.
It's a decent defense, to be fair, but at the same time, you should know as a person that if you do something wrong and you go to prison, you will get a rougher time because of your beauty. So she knew all those facts before she got into it. So while it should be considered, it's covered.
Yeah, it's interesting. Apparently, she has special needs,
she's special needs.
Oh.
You're breaking up again, with Charlie. God, you have to. Can you hear me?
I'm literally sitting here, Goalie, and I'm sitting in the same place I've always sat.
Okay.
Apparently, that was a decision. That was a thing that the defense considered doing. That, raising the possibility that she's special needs, and that's her defense. But they didn't go for that in the end.
And what special needs does she have?
It is crazy. It didn't specify because they didn't go with that in the end. As the defense, but they considered it.
Okay.
But it just brings me back to what you're saying about a person's lawyer. I know you have. It doesn't matter whether your client is innocent or guilty. You have to defend them to the best of your ability and get them the lightest sentence or get them off or whatever. But sometimes you do get the sense that lawyers are just taking the piss and that judges buy it. There was a judge who didn't convict a paedophile. He was found guilty of paedophilia. The judge found him guilty, but didn't sentence him to prison because the guy was too small.
In height.
Are you eating? Yeah.
No, I'm not eating. I'm opening a beer.
All right.
In
You're drinking beer, not bourbon.
I'm mixing it.
Yeah.
In height.
Bourbon and beer? Fucking hell.
So...
you're putting the shot glass into the...
I can definitely see how that would be a concern, because he's going to get the shit kicked out of him, or he's going to be raped or whatever.
Yeah.
Some people would argue that that's all that he should get, being a paedophile. But realistically, he again knew that if he was ever going to go to prison, he'd be in trouble given his traits. So yeah, it should be a factor. But if you can prove that they weren't aware of what would happen to them, well then maybe. But they all knew that in advance.
Yeah. It just seems crazy. Like, where do you draw the line at the height being too small? Like you say, the reason, like you're right,
You
the
get to
judge
be an
said
average of
he's too
everybody
small
in the
because
prison.
he'll get the shit kicked.
Do you know what I mean? You
And then how below do you go then? So let's say the average is what, 5'9", 5'10". So how low do you go? Like, is 5'7" too small? Is 5'5" too small?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the problem with it. If you get a judge, that decides that, well then, if I'm a good criminal defense lawyer, I'm going to go and contact every prisoner who's only 1 centimeter taller than that, or 1 inch taller. Right, that case. Again, it's the same in Ireland when we had the suggestion during. What do you mean?
Because you ever seen that movie Lawnmower Man? It's like I'm talking through the fucking.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I can't fucking hear what you're saying, but I can hear you now. Like,
really? Are you serious?
His victims were small. Yeah, his victims.
Okay,
were small.
I'm not moving.
I know you're not moving.
Good point, Benji.
Your internet
I don't know. He could have had it. He could, like, not all teenage boys are small.
Yeah, his Benji raises a good point that he didn't think of his victims being children were small and vulnerable, so he's getting his just desserts, I suppose. Yeah, that's the way people will think about these things, because we.
But he didn't get his just desserts because he didn't go to prison.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing that, like, this is what I was talking about earlier on, the hypocrisy. So we're all here, like, if somebody broke into a house, say for example, and stole a few €100, we would not advocate that treatment for him in prison to that level. We'd guarantee him a certain amount of rights, I think. But people,
as in what, you wouldn't advocate him getting raped and stuff?
Yeah, you wouldn't. You'd say, listen, he has to serve his time, but he doesn't deserve to be raped. But we don't have that same feeling for paedophiles. But again, that's something that in a few years is going to be wrong to say as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like the Traveller example earlier on. There has to be, I think, a base level for paedophiles too, as much as it goes against every bone of my body to say that. We need to, I think, rise above it. But I think in a few years,
I'd imagine though,
we will. It's either going to go that way,
or
it's going to go steeply the other way, and back to the bad times, I suppose.
There's a lot of far right wing governments in the world at the moment, you know.
There absolutely is. I think it's changing.
I was listening to a podcast coming back to the centre. I don't know, Goldie. Not that it worries me. It does worry me. I don't want everyone to be far right, but I think it's some people are redressing the balance that we've gone too far left wing, too politically correct. We've talked about this in the show 100 times. So now people are going the other way in certain countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we will right ourselves.
I think the curve is turning though. I don't think we're going to go too much further into craziness, if I can call it that. Do you know what I mean? I think we're going to... As
in too far left? You don't think we're going to go?
Yeah,
I wonder. I worry.
As a bell curve rather than a fucking left-right fucking potentiometer or whatever you want to call them. But that's how I visualize it. But I think we're coming around. Talk to me about Brazil.
A beautiful country. A friend of mine, Russell, always said that when people did the map, that Brazil doesn't look as big as Europe when you look at the map, but apparently Brazil is actually way bigger than Europe in size. Now, this lad is full of bullshit, so I never believe him. But that's what he always said. Brazil is supposed to be massive. But yeah, are we talking about the COVID holiday?
Yes. You brought this story to me. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So there's a group of islands off Brazil called the Fernando de Noronha archipelago. So archipelago, like it's 21 volcanic islands. So it's called Fernando, named after Alan Partridge's son, apparently.
Interesting.
But it was a very popular tourist destination before the lockdown. So the lockdown that happened in March obviously decimated tourism all around the world. And this state in Brazil, I'm trying to think what state it is. The state of Pernambuco came to a decision there last week that they were going to open up those islands again to tourists, but with a difference. Okay. So this archipelago of 21 volcanic islands was going to be open again for tourism, but only if you had COVID-19. So it's the opposite of everywhere else in the world. So if you think of Ireland with its green list trying to stop people, going to certain countries that are very high in with coronavirus, this place is actually trying to attract, like they're basically their target audience is people with COVID. And you can only book a trip to these islands if you can prove that you either have COVID-19, so you have to produce, a test that has been taken within the last 20 days. I don't know why it's not the last 2 weeks, but the last 20 days that you have been diagnosed with the virus.
Not Grumpy Neighbours has joined our show. We have a caller. Not Grumpy Neighbours, how are you?
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very so much. Very attracted by your Irish accent.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Are you broadcasting? Where are you from?
I'm Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Which part? Yes, I gathered that with your accent.
Dublin. We're Dublin. We're broadcasting here from Dublin.
Very good.
And Kildare.
We just wanted to join in at some point. We don't. We want to pick up what the show's all about and have a listen and stuff, but also be able to have a chat at some point. Is that all right?
Absolutely, yeah. If you feel you have something to say,
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic to have you on the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
Have we finally got Alan Partridge to join us? Brilliant, absolutely.
Well, I'm
on that bombshell, join us for season 2.
I'm with a friend of mine.
Okay, and who's your friend?
Who does an excellent. It's Nick, and he does an excellent Terry Wogan impression.
Brilliant! Get him on.
He's on. We've got a microphone between us. We're fine.
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely brilliant. It's great to have you on the show, folks.
Thank you.
It's a very limited impression.
Well, go on, give us your Terry Wogan.
Go on, do it anyway. Go on, do it.
Right, here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello.
Yes, we think.
That's brilliant.
I have to say, I think
that's so good.
I think basically what's happened here is Not Grumpy Neighbours is actually our time traveling future selves. All right,
Oh, be careful, guys. Be careful.
Oh my God, this is crazy. But, it's brilliant to have you on the show.
That's the best Terry Wogan one-word impression I've ever heard.
It is one word as well. That's about the limit.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Can you do it one more time?
I can do that. I can't do any more words though.
Yeah, it's the same word. It'd be perfect.
Hello.
That's brilliant.
I can't believe I've been listening to this impression for months, and I can't believe that somebody else is actually laughing about it. But there you go.
No, it's brilliant. Do Jimmy Savile.
Oh no, we need some children here to do that.
I'd rather not, guys. I'd rather not.
Oh Jesus Christ! Okay, let's try and get this show back on track.
Hello, little kiss.
I'm sorry. Would you like us to go?
No, absolutely no. I genuinely am delighted to hear you. But Charlie tends to run away with himself sometimes, so we'll definitely.
So does Andrew. So yeah, I'll try and keep him in check.
Good.
You keep Charlie in check.
Absolutely, yeah. No, this is fantastic.
Checkpoint, Charlie.
Very good. Very good.
I love it.
So tell me, are all the participants that are in your show tonight, are they all Irish, or have we got people from elsewhere?
They're all our family.
We have a couple of people who are Irish. We have an American on. We have an American that's living in Ireland on. We have a guy from the Midwest, Buzz. So yeah, we got people from all over.
Have you got anyone from County Cavan?
We don't. Cavan. We don't have anyone from County Cavan.
No.
Okay. I don't know
we could though if you really wanted to have someone.
That's not a Cavan accent whatsoever.
No.
I don't know what happened there.
No.
We don't.
Fine.
We don't.
I have connections because I used to have a house in County Cavan up until about 3 or 4 years ago. So it was just out of interest.
It wasn't burned down by any chance.
No, it wasn't. No, because that's in Southern Ireland, not Northern Ireland.
Yes.
But there you go.
Yeah. No, you're very.
And
you're
what did you sell the house?
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Yeah. No, we wanted to buy a house over in England. Don't let me not bore you.
No, that's okay.
You're having a nice bit of fun until we came along.
No, it's fine. You're more than welcome to the show. Charlie was telling us about an island on Brazil that you can go there on holiday if you have COVID-19. So I guess it's a place where people that have it that can go enjoy their holidays and they're not restricted. I think on the face of it, it's a fantastic idea. But you can see the obvious problems with that, Charlie, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you can only go if you have COVID or have had it.
Yes.
So if you haven't had it, you can't go. But yeah, like there is obvious problems. Do you want to hit them, goalie?
That is so racist. So racist. I don't know. Something.
How? Everyone of every race gets COVID.
But I think this is kind of the success.
But it is mainly
the success of this idea is dependent on the fact that people cannot get it a second time. You would imagine.
That was the first thing that jumped into my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously that's first of all not entirely true. I don't think we truly know. Was it only recently somebody got tested?
We actually do know.
Yeah,
we actually do know. In the last week, we know now. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. So it's only recent that we know that it can happen, but we don't know the circumstances around it. So it's a bit premature, I think, to open up a holiday destination like this. But you can see why it would make a lot of money.
I think it is absolutely brilliant kind of draw the tourists idea. But yeah, it's backfired for them. So they came up with the idea on August the 18th.
Okay.
And literally in the last week, two separate countries, Japan and Belgium, Japan and Holland, Netherlands, have shown they've proved that someone who had the coronavirus has got it a second time, a slightly different strain.
Yeah.
So it's going to backfire. But look, we've talked about this Brazilian president before, Bolsonaro. He's a nut job, so I don't think he'll care. He'll continue to let this can persist. Brazil is the second highest rates of COVID-19 per population per 100 in the world.
Okay.
If you remember, we talked about this president before. He's done a couple of crazy things even since the last show. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Let's make this story interesting.
You know the way,
there, Charlie.
Sorry,
yeah, well, we got to follow on your one.
Are you talking about the Brazilian president or President Trump? Because he's done some crazy
No,
things.
the Brazilian president. But they say he's like the South American Trump, don't they?
Yeah. So he's a twat as well, is he?
We shouldn't ignore Putin either.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
And he'll probably get re-elected. But this president, as you know, there's a lot of fires in the Amazon rainforest at the moment. They've gotten out of control because people haven't been able to deal. Like the world, I suppose, going into lockdown. The fires got out of control in the rainforest, and Bolsonaro denies that there's any fires in the rainforest in Brazil. And his reason why he's denying it is because they're rainforests, which means that the trees are so wet that they can't catch fire.
Wow. And
he's actually, that's what he's actually saying. And he dared people to prove him wrong, which obviously scientists went and did by just videoing it. But I mean, like, this guy, you know, he'll get re-elected. That's the thing, isn't it, Goldie? You wonder.
You can prove that President Trump is wrong by watching a video of what he says.
Yeah.
No, just watching a video of him. He doesn't need to speak.
Sorry, have we got any Trump followers here? Is there anyone who...
Yeah, I'm one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, of course you are.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm a big follower.
Okay.
But when you say by watching him speak by watching a video of him, the Brazilian president last year himself personally put up a video on Twitter, on his own Twitter account, while he was president. And it was a sexually explicit video of a man pissing on another man at a São Paulo carnival. And he put on this video, he said, this is was it because you watched that video?
No, it's because he was pissed.
That's completely independent.
Because he was pissed.
Yeah, definitely.
But he said this apparently is called a golden shower, and he asked Twitter, please tell me what's a golden shower?
Oh, for Christ's sake. And that's the president.
That's the president,
really
yeah.
Surprised. Your podcast is so much more informative than ours. And...
Well, if you want to know what a golden shower is, it definitely is.
Well, I think we're going to be...
Do you know what a silver shower is?
Next time. I don't know what a silver shower is, no. But
well, do you know what? Maybe it's an old person pissing on an old person. That could be it.
That could certainly be done around here. Andrew,
tell us, Andrew, what is your podcast about?
Oh, well, have a listen. We are neighbours in a street over in England,
okay.
And we got together as mates because we both like drinking wine. And also because we've had experience from previous properties that we've lived in of having fucking miserable neighbours.
Okay.
So we've got together. We enjoy life together. We do barbecues together. We drink wine together.
Wow.
And
we make pizzas together.
And we make pizzas together. No, we are both married. We're not together.
Yeah. No, we get that. That's not a problem either. But
when we decided to do a podcast, we decided that we would call it Not Grumpy Neighbours because we were determined not to be. But it's just really a load of getting pissed guff that we do and that we talk about. But it's quite entertaining in itself.
It is.
You'd have to have a little listen.
I have to say, we definitely will, and I'm more convinced that you're our future selves, because that's the dream that we've often thought about, and you're kind of you're our kind of
honestly,
people.
guys, don't demean yourselves.
No, yeah, I know, but it's fantastic. You gotta hold on and cling on to the small things in life.
We're grasping with our fingertips, my friend.
Bruno Bowie, welcome into the show. It's absolutely fantastic here for me, and what you're living the life that we want to live, I think, at the moment, and I think that's probably, no offense, a little bit sad maybe, but how brilliant is it at the same time?
I would describe myself as sad.
I'd go with
absolutely. And we're all, but mate, we're all.
I don't think it's sad. I think it's lovely.
We're all sad, but we're just trying to make the most of what we've got. You know what I mean?
Look, we've all heard the stories of our grandfathers on, what do they call it, ham radio or whatever it was. You know those kind of things.
Yeah.
This is it. Only 2.0, 2.1 is it? 2.0, 2.1. 2.0, 2.1.
So I'll
3.145.
Let me just explain something. I'm 55 years old. I have no idea what you're talking about. I know what ham radio is, but I don't know what 2.1 means. I have no idea.
I'm a non-practicing homosexual straight male. So
okay.
Me too.
I think we might all be. The jury's out.
I think we all are.
But we're okay.
I think I'm a lesbian. Is
your podcast names your actual real names?
No. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Nick.
Yeah, but is that your real name?
Hello. We can do a joint Terry. We also do. Hang on a second.
It's like Sideshow Simon.
Sideshow Simon. That's you, mate. We can also. So Nick's far more talented than I am, and he is musical. He does impressions. And I'm just the drunken neighbour that comes round to his house and makes a nuisance of myself doing a podcast.
And drinks all my wine.
And drinks all his wine. But
brilliant.
He also
Oh,
does.
Goldie, this is crazy.
He does an amazing Michael Caine impression.
I do.
And we can do Bruce Forsyth, and we can do lots of impressions, although very badly, but we have a go, and that's all part.
That's the fun.
Andrew does it.
That's the fun.
Particularly good. What's that boxer called?
Oh, Mike, no, not boxer. A barbaric sport.
Yeah. The fellow with the lip.
The fellow who did a
Chris Eubanks.
Sport. Chris Eubanks.
He does a good one.
So I'm just doing it. You may have not noticed it, but hang on a second.
I got Chris Eubanks.
You can't do that in this day and age, mate. You have to pick a white boxer.
I don't want to be hogging all the time here, but I would like Nick to do his Michael Caine impression. Was anybody be interested?
Absolutely.
Please, yes. Do it,
I'm
yeah.
Gonna shut up and
do
leave
that.
it to Nick.
I kind of get the feeling we've hijacked your...
No,
no, you haven't. Go on, do it.
Trust me, Andrew, Nick, there's not a hope that we're not going to finish the topics we're going to finish tonight, okay?
Okay, all right, okay, understood.
If I've had enough of you, you'll know about it, all right? Give me your Michael Caine.
Okay, here we go.
Here he goes.
Stop throwing those bloody spears at me.
I thought come on, Nick. Keep going.
I only told you to blow the bloody doors off.
Oh no, the first one was brilliant. Fucking Zulu Don. You had to pick Zulu Don.
Is that from like Zulu King or whatever?
Zulu
You're
Don.
a big man, but you're out of shape. And to me, it's a full-time job.
That's Michael Caine with a cold.
It is.
I thought you were just going to do the madness version of Michael Caine. You know, my name is Michael Caine or whatever.
I thought that's what you were going to do, like the Little Britain version of him or whatever.
Yeah, so that's better. Yeah, but hold on, you haven't answered a question before we get to Michael Caine. Is your real life name Nick, and your real life name Andrew, or is that like a fake name for the show?
Yeah.
No.
we're
We
the
are
same.
Nick and Andrew.
Yeah,
Full
we're the
on.
same. Yeah, because some people don't.
Right.
some
Yeah.
people are
Exactly like
fakes,
us.
You know, exactly like us.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of who you are, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
No. We have I'm really conscious of us taking all this time of yours, but we in our housing
don't
estate
really
where
give
we
a
live,
Yeah, but
there are 71 properties in the housing estate we live
It's gotta
at.
be a
We
3-hour
have
show,
a
isn't
Facebook
it?
group, and I'm sorry, mate.
No,
I really
go
am.
on,
Do you want-
go on.
Listen,
No.
should we go? Should we go?
no, don't go.
No,
Go on.
go on.
So we
go on.
have
Sorry.
we have a Facebook group for all the residents around here,
Yeah.
and what we do is every single time we do a podcast, we put it out to all the neighbours and stuff. But so we have to be called Nick and Andrew because we are Nick and Andrew from number 14 and number 10. So that's our real name.
So basically we've
And
clarified
do
your real
you
name.
have wives?
No,
Yep.
we've clarified your real name.
got a
We've
name.
clarified
Oh,
the numbers at the door. We'll have your bank details by the end of the show.
That's fine. Yeah.
I've got CCTV.
Listen,
cameras,
Nick,
guys.
I have a brother
CCTV
in Nigeria.
And he just happened to become a king. Are you interested?
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
He's got 90 million in a bank account, but he's frozen it.
Poor bastard.
Okay, speaking of Africans, our next topic is in relation to Castor Semenya. Castor Semenya. Do you know this Castor Semenya?
I've never heard of him.
No, it's a her.
Oh, interesting you said him, though.
There's your answer.
So basically, she lost her case to compete as a woman in all races. So this is not what you think, guys, right? This is an athlete for the Olympics, right? Who is actually legally a female. And I don't mean just legally, I mean actually a female. Was born a female. And she's not allowed to compete in female races because her levels of testosterone are too high.
I have heard of it, actually.
Yeah, she's biologically a man. Now, this is a can of worms and a rabbit hole, but what's your initial impressions on that, folks?
Has she got a fanny?
She has a vagina. She's actually
Yeah.
a woman, yeah. But but biologically, because of her testosterone levels, she's a man.
Testosterone.
There you go.
That's the way he pronounces it. It's fine. It still means testosterone.
Okay, cool.
Goldie has a problem with
Yeah.
pronunciation.
I mean, I don't think my opinion counts, really. I've just kind of eavesdropped on your show, which is very cool.
Thank you.
I would say if she's a woman, she's allowed to compete, irrespective of her levels of testosterone.
I'd agree.
And
Yeah.
this is the big debate that's going on. Some people are saying that her what did the word use? Her oddity, not her oddity, but the God's gift, basically, the gift that God gave her should be celebrated and not regulated, because they were trying to tell her to take certain injections or whatever to reduce her testosterone levels.
Yeah, that sounds like complete bullshit. What do they test men to see if they've got too much testosterone?
They don't.
Sorry, testosterone.
But that's not going to give a man an advantage in a race, whereas a woman having male characteristics will give her an advantage. It'll make her stronger and faster.
I don't know. I reckon if a man has more testosterone than another man, that would give the man an advantage.
It definitely would.
You're right.
Yeah.
That could be the way it'll go. Yeah.
So instead of
The thing is, this woman.
you'd have different brackets basically of testosterone levels. Like, is that not a bit of a step too far?
I'd say just let her go for a fucking run.
At the end of the day, yeah, let her just fucking run.
Just not in the Olympics. This woman is a gold. She holds the gold medal for the Olympic 800 meters, and you know the way the Olympics were cancelled this
Unless
year
it's a
or
baking
postponed
race.
or whatever. So
Buzz says
that's so sexist, man.
It is sexist, but Buzz is from the
Oh,
Midwest.
Buzz, that is
He's an older generation, so
all right.
we have to take that into account.
Respect it. Yeah.
Respect is a view.
How do you even do a bacon race? Like,
It's very
you run while you're baking.
Now we're talking. What's a bacon race? I like bacon.
Oh.
yeah, like
Come on,
the
Buzz.
Great
Tell us
British
what is it?
Bake Off or something like that.
Oh, so you're not actually running. There's just a timer, and you have to make it within the time.
Make a cake within a certain amount of time. No.
But sure, there's blokes on that show.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a problem. Don't mind Buzz.
So if a bloke had estrogen, would it be an advantage to him? in that show.
Potentially.
When baking a cake.
Yeah, baking a cake. Yeah.
I mean, in my experience, estrogen does help.
Does it make your cake rise a bit more?
With just a pinch of sugar.
And that's what Buzz is saying here. Buzz has typed in estrogen helps the cake to rise.
It does. You're actually right.
If you have a bun in the oven. Yeah. This woman, this Olympic runner, she holds the gold medal at the moment for the 800 meters in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. She is not stripped of it, but she's not allowed to run in whenever the Japan Olympics are. They were supposed to be 2020. She's forbidden from running and defending her medal in the next Olympics for the 800 meters because she has too much testosterone. Yeah. If she wants to run in the Olympics, she has to take some kind of medication to reduce her testosterone. And the only two types of medication that she can take are either the pill, which a lot of women take, I suppose, already, or prostate cancer drugs. Both of those reduce your testosterone. So she has to take them for 6 months before the Olympics if she wants to run in the Olympics at 800 meters. Yeah. She's refused to do it, which means, like Muhammad Ali with the Vietnam War, when he was, what did he win? Was he a heavyweight? Yeah?
Heavyweight, yeah.
Yeah, heavyweight.
Muhammad Ali. Yeah, so he was stripped of his title because he went to jail for protesting the Vietnam War. So she's going to be stripped of her title. But she's refused to do it. The weird thing is this. They're defining her as intersex. So they're telling her she's intersex.
And this is what I wanted to get at. Yeah,
she has both male.
Hugely insulting.
Yeah. I think that's really bad. Like, I actually agree with the Olympics on banning her, to be honest. But I think...
I have a completely different view on this. And I think my view is probably...
Okay.
And you might be surprised to hear that I think it's the right one. But I think if you think about it, it makes sense. And it doesn't really offend anyone.
To ban her?
No, not to ban her. Like, we shouldn't discriminate against anybody for who they are. Do you know what I mean? We shouldn't.
Okay, but they have banned her, though. They did decide to ban her.
So I think that's...
Right, sorry.
It's wrong.
But
it's for the right reasons. Okay. So what if you take this, right? No.
How can that be?
Because it's actually acknowledging what we have been dying to see, what people have been dying to see for how many years? At least 100 years. Or, you know what I mean? Is there proof?
2.
Is there proof that a man can be born inside a woman's body or a woman can be born inside a man's body? This is why religion and science have clashed, because we never really be able to categorically prove it. But now, here's a shining example of somebody who is biologically a man but has a vagina. Is that not something to be celebrated, to say, here, this is actually a thing? Of course they should have all the normal rights as everybody else.
But I don't know. They're not quite saying she's a man. They're giving her some weird category that she's in between or both or something.
That happens in society, doesn't it? It acknowledges that that's a thing.
Yeah, and that is a good thing, I suppose. Yeah, but surely people have acknowledged that for years.
Let's take the flip side, guys. Let's take the flip side. Has she got a penis?
No.
No, she's got breasts, right. And she can have a baby if she wants.
She can actually have
a baby. She's totally a woman.
She can have a baby. She can go for a run.
Yeah, no, I know, and I know, and unfortunately, the world is changing in relation to that. That it's not fine, and
yes, she can't have a run.
On to the next story here, folks. Benji, Charlie.
Can I say something else, Goldie?
Benji agrees with you. Yeah, no. The next story is directly related. Don't worry.
It's about rugby.
No, it's not about rugby. It's about athletics as well.
Can I say this then before we go?
Yeah.
Please.
Just yesterday, the World Rugby Organization met because they're going. It's coming that they're going to ban. We were talking about this earlier, and we got into a fight about it, Goldie, about men and women, and then you brought in transgender people into athletics.
Yeah.
And I just looked it up out of interest. The World Rugby Association are going to ban trans women from playing women's rugby. So at the moment they're not banned, but that's coming now. They're going to be banned.
Yeah, and I have a view.
So if I was born a man,
it's going to be banned.
Okay,
yeah.
Go on.
I accept that, and I agree with it in a certain circumstance. Okay, so just let me move on to that. The next story here is a policy allowing transgender athletes to compete as girls found to violate US law. So this is actually the reverse example. This is a situation where there's a college in Connecticut. basically allowed a transgender female, so somebody who was born a man turned to a woman, compete in the female athletics, and all the other girls competing against her said it was unfair. That this, because this athletics for some people was a way through a scholarship, it was a way to get into high level competitions and stuff, and it just simply wasn't fair that this person was racing against them. So it's actually a different point. Now you've got the actual association or the governing body, I suppose, or the college, whoever it is, allowing it, but you can see now that the other side don't want it, and you can accept that, I think, because it's not fair.
Yeah. So this was a way for them to try to get a scholarship into university.
Yeah, but some people would use it as that, or use it to get on to higher level competitions.
Yeah.
And, but now, it's tough enough.
And they'd have an advantage over women.
Exactly, and it's tough enough to be in that. Anybody that's successful in sport, it's very hard to get to where they are. There's only a limited number of places. So the competition to get there is hard enough as it is without somebody who's actually biologically a male, or born a male, or whatever way you want to say it comes in. So I can see the other side of it.
Honestly, do you guys honestly think that people are going to go through the trouble of having a sex change just to get better at a sport in a different category?
If it means winning, if it means being a success, absolutely. There are people out there that would do that.
Think how much college fees in America would cost if you had to pay for them.
But
so if you could have a sex change operation for maybe, let's say, I have no idea. Let's say a sex change operation cost you $10,000. Okay, your college fees will be way more than that. So if you were good at a sport because you get a sex change, and then you get a scholarship because you excel in that sport, you'd actually end up saving money. So I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that people would do it.
Yeah, I'd suggest people take up ping pong.
Yeah, it's tough.
Do you know, on my stag, we saw a woman, and at the end of the show, a ping pong came out.
Oh no!
You know what? I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
We've all
And Goldie paid for everything that night. Absolutely everything.
I did.
Thank you, Goldie.
Thanks for bringing it up again. Now I'm going to be in trouble. Bruno Bowie says that the medical in the US is way more expensive than college. Absolutely, yeah.
I'd well believe that. Yeah.
So maybe in
plus, I don't think these people are deliberately changing their gender. It's just that they genuinely believe that they're the other gender, and then they use that to their advantage, like anyone would, to excel in a sport.
Yeah, I have a bit of a different angle on it, and I want you to kind of hear me out for a minute.
Okay.
I've always wondered why. I know the answer, but I've also wondered the alternative, just given maybe who I am or whatever. But men and women in sport have always been separated, with the exception of a very limited number of sports. But your traditional stuff, your athletics, your football, your field sports,
your ping pong,
the tennis. They're always separated. So there's obviously an acceptable acknowledgement in society today that there is physical differences, and it wouldn't be fair to put them together. Which again, I think is a little bit hypocritical in ways, because they fight so long to say that they're equal, but then it's okay to acknowledge that there is a weakness there or a difference.
I agree. Yeah. Imagine if there was a different 100 meters for black people and 100 meters for white people.
Yeah, which
it would
probably
be totally racist.
There probably should.
I agree, because black people that live at a higher altitude are better at absorbing oxygen, which makes them faster naturally. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But you could never do it.
Some kind of restrictions with regard to
for black people, totally.
Know the altitude to which people live.
So now we have, what level of testosterone you have. Now we have what altitude you live at. It'll soon come to a point where you won't even be allowed to have a race. Do you know what I mean? No,
as in what kind of race? Like a running race or a color of your skin race? Well, because that's the way we could be going.
It could be, and it's not where I was going with it, Charlie, but it's definitely.
All right, sorry, go on.
It's definitely a little bit of a different branch.
I'm not entirely convinced that'll go down well, Charlie.
No, it wouldn't. I don't think it would. But I think this.
I wonder though, possibly in 50 years, will we be? The way we say we're post this, post that. Could we actually ever get to a point where we're post race? No, I don't think we can. Not in my lifetime. Like white, black. Well, we won't. We're under 50. You guys are fucked.
Yeah, I know, we're completely fucked.
No,
Is that a Terry Wogan impression?
It might well have been, yeah. Hello. I'm really sorry.
You're okay, folks. What I'm saying, Charlie, is that what if it's so acceptable to have men and female separated in sport now? That's fine. I don't have an issue with it. But then it should be as acceptable to have transgender people have their own sport. You know, that the transgender people are all separated.
Perhaps, sorry to interrupt, but we need to have some sort of understanding on this, because if I watch something like Wimbledon, me as a 55-year-old man who's a bit old-fashioned has a bit of an issue with a woman's game which is not as exciting to watch, playing 3 sets because that's all they have to play, against a man who has to play 5 sets to win, and both earning the same prize money.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big difference between a male's game in anything in life and a female's game in anything in life. I personally, and if anyone female is listening, I'm sorry about this,
I hope the wife's not listening.
No, she's not listening. I personally wouldn't even begin to watch a women's football match because I don't find it interesting, but I would watch a male football match.
Yeah, and a lot of people can relate to that because, you know, the standard, while improving, is just not really very good. It's not good football to watch, and you'd almost watch it because sometimes it's a bit of a comedy, and I know that's a horrible thing to say. but
it is.
But it's a standard.
That's terrible.
But that's a reflection on us as society for allowing that to happen. We should have always allowed them to play football. There should have always been proper leagues for females. So I think in years to come, our views will be gone because the standard will improve, and they'll never know that it was never a big thing to have women's football. For our younger generation, it's just there. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely going to improve naturally. Yeah. I think.
But Andy picked. It's Andy, is it? Andy?
Andrew, yeah.
Andrew, sorry. You picked tennis.
That's all right.
And ironically, that's one sport that I would be more.
Is he breaking up for you guys? We didn't.
Sorry, the men don't get long rallies. Sorry, the men don't get long rallies in Wimbledon. You know, they get a lot of ace and everything. Whereas the women's game, I'm not into tennis, but anytime I've watched the women's game in Wimbledon, there's more of a rally. There's more of, I would have thought, more watchability. No.
Just for me personally, this is just my opinion. I'd much rather watch a 4 or 5 shot rally at 120 miles an hour done by the men than I would watch 2 women slug it out at 80 or 100 miles an hour over 20 shots. I'd much rather watch that. That's just an opinion.
Okay.
You know, I mean, the difference between men's tennis and women's tennis is about as vast as it is between Irish rugby and English rugby.
Yeah.
I would suggest. Oh, sorry, have I said that to the wrong people there?
You're okay.
No, we know nothing about rugby.
I know.
Yeah, in Ireland, you only play rugby if you're rich and posh. If you go to private school.
No, it's the same in England. Honestly, it's the same in England because they're all posh.
Yeah. Oh, is it? No, you call it public schools in England.
Yeah, public schools. Yeah, public schools in England. Yeah, that's.
We call it private schools in Ireland, which is so weird.
All right. So I was just joking. I think.
We don't play rugby.
No. But I think I used to because I was from over in Ireland at one point. I was really into the Irish rugby, and I just think Ireland rugby is amazing in comparison to. It was just a bit of a joke.
It's far superior. I got it. Charlie doesn't get things like that sometimes, so don't worry about him. He's fine. But what I'm trying to get to, Charlie, if I can bring us all back...
Goalie is very fucking arrogant and thinks he's brilliant. That's why all of his friends, one by one, are leaving him. I don't mind. I love him.
If we bring it back, folks, let's have a male section of football, a female section of football, and a transgender or gender fluid or whatever terminology you want to use brand of football, and have that emulate through all the different types of sports. But you can have cross. If a man chooses to run in a women's race, then let him. If a woman wants to, well, you can't actually. No, you can't. I'm sorry, I'm wrong there. I suppose in a race I'm wrong, but in a football team, if a woman wants to join a men's football team, she should be allowed. Is she going to get her game? Maybe, maybe not. But she shouldn't. She should be allowed to have a shot. And I think allow that to happen. When it comes to team sports, you can definitely have a crossover. When it's solo sports, have the categories. And you can't be pissed off. If you want to be acknowledged as a person who's transgender, well then this is the way to do it.
There's a lot there's a lot of political correctness going on, if I might say,
Tony,
because just as an aside to this, when I watch a game of football, I just, as a 55-year-old bloke, I tend to get a little bit offended if there are women line judges and there's a woman commentator. Now, that's not a sexist remark. What I mean by that is...
just because he's really old.
It's because I'm really old. What I mean by that is...
Terry...
what I mean by that is...
Terry something.
Sorry, this is very...
Charlie,
crackly, this line.
Charlie, you're very broken up there. If you just hold off, go ahead, Andrew or Tony.
No. All I was going to say is, at some point, let men be men, rather than let political correctness allow women to come into a men's game. And I don't mean that. If a woman is as good at playing football as a man is, then let her into the Premiership, into a team that wants her. But if not, and I suspect that that's the case, and this is just an opinion, then let there be women's teams if that's what they want. But let blokes be blokes.
It's a controversial point, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
No,
that's
and
all.
you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I have my own views on it. But what we like to do in this show is kind of enter the doors of perception and change people's minds and get people wondering about stuff they probably haven't thought about before, and maybe have a bit of fun with it. Like, do you know what I mean? So,
and get people on to do Terry Wagon impression.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? That's what we're about. So we just want to share ideas. So there's no such thing as a bad idea. So don't be sorry for it. But I just think that, yes, I think I agree with you that women should be allowed to join a Premiership team if the team wants them. But if the team doesn't want them, don't start bitching about it. Do you know what I mean? You're just not good enough.
Yeah,
and I think that's
fair.
But
at the moment, women aren't allowed. Women are not allowed to play on a male football team in England. If you're in the Netherlands, or that is true. That is true. Okay. I know that. And there's two countries where it's allowed: the Netherlands and Switzerland. A woman can join the official professional soccer leagues. They're the only two countries in Europe that allow it. I don't know about the rest of the world, but if you're a woman in the Netherlands and you want to play for, I don't know, name a Netherlands team, PSV Eindhoven, you can if you're good enough. But if you're a woman and you want to join the Chelsea football team, the official male Chelsea one, you can't. You can't. No.
Are there any
if it's in Netherlands or Switzerland?
Are there any women in the Netherlands that play on their own merit in the top division leagues or teams?
I honestly don't know. I just remember knowing that they're allowed, but I don't know if they're not. If there are, yeah.
And I think that's the way it needs to go. So the Premiership and the English football should say, if you're a woman and you want to play for Chelsea, and Chelsea want you to play for them, well then you should be allowed. There should be nothing stopping it. But you need to be good enough, and that's the bottom line. Not based on your.
But Goldie, let's take your transgender one.
Benji says, sorry Charlie. Benji says, didn't a team in American football have a female kicker? I don't know.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. Maybe some.
What's a kicker like in American
Take a guess.
football? Actual American football.
Yeah, American football basically.
Yeah, like they do that in soccer as well, Goldie. It's not just fucking American football.
No,
they do. They
that's
kick
the only thing they do in
soccer as well. You fucking daft.
It's the only thing they do.
They throw it as well. No, they throw it as well in American football. I watched you play it.
I know, but the individual.
You guys didn't throw it, but you were supposed to throw it.
The actual individual player, that's all his job is to kick it. That's it. Alright, he doesn't know what a job. He doesn't throw it or nothing. Okay, will you stop moving around?
So going back, goalie, it's not me. It must be the other lads. In your transgender thing, are you saying then that men that were formerly men that are now women and women that are now men, should they be mixed bag? Both kind of.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, transgender.
Is that what you're saying?
So yeah, so there'd be 4 categories: men, women, transgender men, transgender women.
Okay, right.
And
yeah,
then probably
okay.
a 5th category for the ones that want to decide on the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, but that's basically it in a nutshell. And I know it sounds funny, but it's the reality, isn't it? You know, there are people that decide.
It's like when you're young in primary school and you're doing your school sports and everyone gets a medal.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly.
That's what you're getting at. Yeah.
I'm just.
I don't think the world is ever going to come to that, though. To be honest,
hopefully
do you?
not. Hopefully not. Before we move on to our next segment of the show, I just wanted to comment that welcome active listener to the show. Welcome Pork Chop, Tommy, everyone else that's listening to us at the moment. I just want Randy. There was a character called Randy who was very excited to hear about our show today. I wonder if he's entered the studio or if he's under another name. But thanks a million for your support and for liking us today. It was nice to get that reaction. Active listener, I wonder if that is you, Randy. It's great to see you and hear from you. We're going to move on to another show or another part of the show. Randy is in.
Good afternoon.
Excellent. So Randy is listening through with Benji. Brilliant. So Charlie, we're going to go to the next segment of our show, and it's. Oh, I'm in agony. And. So this is part of the show, folks. Charlie, there are listeners out there that write into Goldie from time to time to help them with their. Basically an agony aunt to help them with their daily issues. And this is, Charlie, you have somebody who wrote into us this week, do you?
Yeah, we do. And last week 2 weeks ago, we had a very sad story, I think. This one isn't sad. I think it's quite strange, but I suppose each person's had their own. So this person needs help, and it's not for me to judge, and I hope you don't judge them either.
Okay, what's their name?
I'll read out their letter, Goldie.
What's their name?
Their name... No, it's just one. It's one person, and I'm just thinking it's a male. Yeah, it's a male, and his name is Bobby.
Bobby.
So I was just checking. It's Bobby, Bobby.
Okay.
So I'll read out Bobby's letter. I really like this girl at work, but I'm not quite sure how to broach the subject. She always seems interested when I talk to her, but I've heard she has a boyfriend. Should I send her a pic of my penis?
No.
This is a genuine letter, guys.
Do we have Bobby's age?
No.
Does he elaborate on the size of his penis, or is there any detail about his penis at all?
No.
Okay, because obviously that comes into the equation. Do you have a nice penis? If you don't have a nice penis, well then don't send it. Pork Chop says absolutely, send it, buddy. Tell us how it goes. Yeah, I think that's a sarcastic thing to say. No, but if you have a nice penis, well then it might be an option. Do you know what I mean? But again,
see how it goes. I love that. Pork Chop, I'm guessing you think it's not gonna work out well for him. Just to clarify, she always seems interested when I talk to her.
Pork Chop does.
Like the guy thinks he has. No, in the letter from Bobby, he's right. She does interested when I talk to her. So
okay, Charlie.
He's not getting the sky.
Yeah, okay, Charlie. Your internet is terrible, but I think what we got from you there is that the girl is showing a little bit of an interest. The girl is showing a little bit of an interest.
Yeah.
We normally have Charlie in the studio with us, but obviously with COVID, we're having a separate show. Yeah, does he want a sexual harassment case in the workplace? Does he want to get punched? Says Benji Boyle. I think first of all, have you got a nice penis? And I mean nice. It doesn't have to be extremely big. It just has to be nice. It's a nice shape, nice skin tone. There's nothing of unusual.
Thick.
Yeah, is it thick? Then maybe.
I'd say
my first instinct would be
get
no.
the guy to send in a picture of his penis to you guys.
Before he sends it to the girl.
So you can double check it.
Yep.
Did he send us in
Buzz has something interesting to say here.
Buzz
wants to
sending a Polaroid of my penis to my wife in the mail when we were courting. Wow, he sent an actual Polaroid. Thanks, Buzz. That's fantastic.
And he actually used the word courting.
Courting. Well, Buzz is one of our not elderly but older guests.
Right.
Absolutely.
So they did a line. Lovely.
At some point, you lot are going to say, and Andrew, who joined us last week, is one of our elder gentlemen.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And here's a picture of his.
No, I'm not going to send you a picture of my cock. I'm a married man. I'm quite happy, thank you.
That's fine. Yeah. No, if we want one, we'll give you a shout.
No. If you want one, you're not going to get one. So
if you want one, you'll have to get me to see if I can stealth
stealth shoot.
Stealth shot. Yeah, the fact that you get
Stealth shot.
into that opportunity.
Hickey's Mickey.
Great. Hickey's Mickey. Yeah. Do you remember that? Okay.
Someone will need a macro lens to do mine.
All right, I've got one.
Pork Chop said it's all about the camera angle and the manscaping. Active listener asks, do you agree with dick checks before a one night stand? As in, yeah, of course.
What's a dick check?
It's basically what I'm assuming here is that the woman, or if indeed the man, kind of checks out what the other person's packing basically before you agree to it. So yeah, I do agree with that, because if you're both going on for a one night stand, you both know exactly what you're there for. It's just sex. Well, then why not? You don't go into a shop and blindly pick stuff off the shelves. So yeah, of course, dick check is allowed.
So he means like the woman demands a picture before she meets the guy.
It could be a cleanliness.
Cleanliness.
It could be a cleanliness.
But of course, you wouldn't know if someone has a virus just by.
Got a clean knob.
A clean knob, but also a knob that you want to fuck or suck. Do you know what I mean? You don't.
I can't believe this is coming.
Are you guys
from
on Grindr?
A Roman Catholic country. I can't believe it.
How could you even call us a Roman Catholic? Should you not call us like an Irish Catholic country?
Well, an Irish Catholic then, yeah.
A lot of you English people, and if you don't mind me calling you people,
Don't worry. Last week he said you people, and he was talking about black people. So he's a racist. This guy.
No, I'm not at all. But you have a different impression of us than I think, because the history you learn in school is very different to the reality, and a lot of the stuff that you see on TV would be obviously stereotypical stuff.
Well, I'll just
when
I can just
EastEnders goes
let me
to
I know what you're saying, but if I can just let you know, a lot of the work that I do is Irish genealogy work. Okay. So I go back through history, back to 1800s, 1900s, on doing family history for Irish. For Irish people and connections
Benji would
there
be delighted to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do have an insight, but I think when I talk about English people as a whole, or when EastEnders goes to Ireland, it goes to the country, and it's kind of like Emmerdale Farm. It's never the big city, and there seems to be a different view of the Irish people, I think, in the UK. But that's not something we need to get into. We are a bit of crack, like, do you know what I mean? We do talk about stuff that's not necessarily just religious and whatever, PC.
Maybe it's not to get into at this moment. Maybe we could do it at another podcast.
Perhaps we could do it
on one of our podcasts.
Or privately.
We can do it on one of our podcasts. You can come and join us on one of our podcasts.
Yeah, an expose, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll discuss fees and everything.
Yeah. It'll be a big fat zero, but there you go.
Discuss away, Charlie.
Send us over a contract. Send us a contract. No, but what I'm saying is...
So, just to go back to what Pork Chop is, our active listener is saying, dick checks before a one-night stand. So, he means sending a picture of his dick to the female.
Yeah.
So she can see if she...
Absolutely not.
Oh, I don't think I'd ever have the confidence to do that.
No,
but also it's not right. It's not right.
If I was single, I don't think I'd have a problem.
You'd probably get arrested for it.
Not if it's.
Yeah, you could get arrested for it. Yeah.
If it's,
you actually could. Yeah.
100%.
You could be.
Send a picture of your penis.
If it's unsolicited, then maybe you could get arrested. But if it's mutual consent, then why would it be an issue?
You're treading a delicate line, I think there.
I don't know.
Just don't bother.
This is crazy. Hearing this coming from a mostly like Church of England country, to hear that. Because I would have thought that you would be more open.
Roman Church of England and everything.
Church of England, yeah. Just send a dick pic. You have consent. You have proof of consent. There won't be an issue.
Goalie, Bobby sent this letter in. He's hanging on. He wants your answer.
My answer to Bobby is no. Do not send a dick pic. All right, not until you have consent.
Answer.
Yeah, you wait for consent, but you're gonna have to spend a lot of time buttering her up over the next couple of weeks. Months, possibly even years. But and I don't mean physically buttering her up. I mean, women are strange creatures.
Last tango in Paris here.
Women are strange. Yeah. Women are strange creatures. All right, they dream of Mr. Right, and they dream of being treated like a princess and all that kind of stuff. Right? They want to be treated with respect and love and affection and all that stuff that we all know. Right? But every one of them none of us get that, do we? We all want more in our relationships. We all want more in life.
See, you just answered the question there. What a woman doesn't want is a picture of an amazing penis to change her mind away from her boyfriend that she's currently got.
What I'm trying to get to is you provide.
To be fair, I want less. I want less.
Yeah, but no, women generally want more. Men want a simple life.
I want less.
Want more. So what I'm saying is, whatever her boyfriend is giving her, the shortfall, you pick up the shortfall as the guy with interest. So if she's coming into you and she's talking to you and saying, "Oh, he never brings me for lunch, or he never does this, whatever," you bring her to fucking lunch. Do you know what I mean? Do all the things.
That's in the shape of a penis.
100%.
So you're saying not to send a picture, but to keep trying building up a relationship.
This is so not Catholic. It really is.
keep the picture for later, because you're going to get to the point where she wants to see it.
Later, she'll see it.
Yeah,
she will.
Yeah.
But how do you move? I suppose Goldie, not to be crude, what Bobby's asking, Bobby's probably young based on, I think, the way this letter's written. But what Bobby's asking is, how do you move from friend to potential lover? I think isn't that what he's asking here?
Picture of a penis.
Have I not just
I'd agree with that.
Have I not just answered
So, but you're saying butter up. You have, but you haven't been specific. You're saying butter up and so on. How do you move from that?
4 minutes being specific.
I'm so fucking sick of you. I want to do a different show.
Okay, listen to me, right?
I hate this show. Yeah, you haven't specified how you move from the level of friendship to the level of romance.
Okay. You're already at a friendship level, which means presumably she's confiding in you. Yes. Yeah. She's telling you about her partner, her boyfriend, because you know all about him. You know the good things he does.
Well, no. He just said, "I've heard she has a boyfriend."
I've heard she has a boyfriend. Okay.
He said, "I've heard." So she didn't tell him, which makes me think she's interested.
Okay. So what you need to do then is start talking to her more, find out more about the boyfriend, find out what his faults are, and make them your strengths. And then she will lean towards you for providing that. And then you just have to wait for the right time. And it could take a long time. But it will come. And have that dick pic ready to go when it does. Do you know what I mean? That's how you do it.
Yeah.
So take it now in advance.
Take it when you there's no harm having
at your best
a library ready to go in different shades. Have them in different shades so you can pretend it's a live one from the day or the night or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Take a couple of different angles.
So get one with like snow in the background and raining and everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you've got to prepare for Christmas.
Exactly. You gotta have.
Yeah, have one with a Christmas tree. I'll be back in a sec, guys. Okay.
That's fine. So what Charlie's probably doing there now at the moment is washing the fucking dishes or something. For fuck's sake.
He's probably washing his cock before he takes a picture of it.
He's probably gone to take a picture. For Christ's sake. You're right, Buzz. He absolutely is. Thanks, folks, for joining us on the show tonight. We're coming pretty much to the end. We've got one or two little more segments to go, which we'll get to when Charlie gets back. But we're definitely very interested in tuning into your show. How often do you guys podcast, or how often do you go live?
Well, not often enough, to be honest.
I feel that.
We've done 5 podcasts so far. I think it's 5.
Okay.
We've done some live stuff which doesn't seem to get recorded because we don't know what we're doing with that part of it. But so we're sitting here on the sofa, just having a look around and looking at live podcasts and stuff. We thought we'd dip into yours if that's all right. But it's have a listen. You'll see what we do.
No, definitely. We're very, very interested, because that's essentially how we started out ourselves. And we've been through, as you can see, this is only episode 44. And that's over like a number of 4 or 5 years. We're very much the same. We change to different platforms, and sometimes we have a great stint at doing it every week, and then other times you're kind of restricted to once every month or a couple of months. So life just gets in the way, I think. But definitely keep it up, because it's working.
COVID certainly got in the way.
Yeah, absolutely. But we learned to do it online, and that's how we found Podbean, and it's worked very well. But I'm happy to show you if offline we'll hook up and we can tell you.
No, dude, I'd love to hook up with you. It'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And tonight's been really cool, really, really fun.
No, it has been fun. I can hear Charlie is having problems in the background there, and this is kind of like the you see on TV the news reports of government officials having Zoom meetings and their kids coming in or
Yeah.
getting away. I think that's our podcast version of that. So hopefully that kid gets her fucking ass to bed very quickly so we can continue on this show.
I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry, I'm not entirely sure how we'd keep in contact after this podcast closes down. So,
if you check us out on Facebook, Midnight in Baghdad podcast.
Okay.
You can give me a message there, or look up Goldie Metcalf on Facebook and give me a message there. I don't think.
The Midnight in Baghdad is Baghdad is fine. Yeah, we can do that.
Perfect.
No problem.
And if not, we'll tune into one of your shows and chat to you if we do happen to miss each other.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, we very randomly do a live one. We tend to get together over like a couple of weeks, and Nick's got a studio, so we go up into the studio. We got like proper microphones and recording gear and stuff, and do a podcast. So what you'll listen to if you listen to the podcast is actually a quite professional sounding load of old guff.
Brilliant.
Really, that's what it comes down to, which is and it's a good laugh.
I love how on one hand you haven't a fucking clue what you're doing, and on the second hand, you have all this fucking amazing equipment. It's brilliant. It's exactly
yeah. But I think that you will pick that out in the podcast. I think you'll sus. These guys have got some good gear to do it with, but really haven't got a clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
We have got a clue what we're doing. It's just ramble, and it's good fun. So have a listen. But I'll look up. What was it in Baghdad?
Midnight in Baghdad.
Midnight in Baghdad. Okay, so we'll look that up and we'll add you as a friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, I'll do that. Just stay on the line while I do that now.
Charlie, you're actually ruining the show.
Lovely to hear from you guys. I'm here, yeah.
Charlie, your child is ruining the show. Hello, welcome. But can you lower it down because we're getting a bit of feedback there. Is it? Charlie, are you still with us?
I'm still with you in spirit, yeah.
Excellent, brilliant. Well, you're going to have to be more than spirit because Charlie, we're moving on to the second last segment of our show, which is Charlie's
Second
Choice.
last segment, okay.
Charlie's Choice. And this is the first week of Charlie's Choice, folks, and he wasn't expecting it. But each week I'm going to be giving Charlie a dilemma, a moral dilemma. And I want him to give me an answer and we can discuss how we came to that answer. Is that fair enough, Charlie?
Yep.
So late one night, you're driving home in a bad rainstorm. A drunk reels out in front of your car and you try to stop, but hit him. Nobody sees you. Thanks, Andrew Bale, for the like. The guy looks and smells as if he is homeless. You check to see how badly he is hurt. So you look to see how badly he's hurt and realise he's dead. Okay? You've never had a speeding ticket. You're a professional. You're a family man. You're well known and respected in your community. So do you make a report anonymously? Do you confess your crime? Do you drive home? Do you forget about it? Knowing that no one is going to pursue the death of a homeless drunk. What do you do in this situation?
Okay. So what would Charlie Naughton do?
What would Charlie Naughton do?
I think, well, kind of like the third option, but not quite. Andrew's interrupting. Go on, Andrew.
Sorry, it's Nick.
I'm going to have to give you some of my wages for this show.
I think Charlie shouldn't give a shit.
Wow.
That's harsh.
How much damage has a dickhead done to my car? Is what Buzz says. Pursue his family.
Drive home, deny everything.
Really? Wow. Wow. And
yeah, but Goldie's saying if you want, you're never going to get caught. Is that what you're saying, Goldie? If I want, I walk away from this.
Yes, but
never get caught.
The whole thing is, can you live with yourself?
Yeah, that's it. Well, look, here's what Charlie Naughton would do. I would walk away from it, and I would probably be haunted by it for the rest of my life. But I would walk away from it. I think selfishly, I don't want to go to jail. I'd probably use some kind of humanitarian thing. Oh, my 2 kids need me, and I got to be there for them. So I try to excuse it that way. You know, like pretend it's not about me, it's about my kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think if I knew I could get away with it, I would do it. I would get away with it, and I would get away. I think even if it wasn't a homeless drunk, even if it was a normal person, I'd do the same.
You do the same.
And I would probably hate myself. Yeah, I think so. I would hate myself for it.
Okay.
But I would probably do it. I certainly would not report myself into the police, anything like that.
Wow. You've heard it here first, folks. And you know, I think each week we're going to hear something from Charlie and learn a little bit more about him. But I think that's probably not. It's somewhat shocking, but not totally unexpected, and that's probably a contradiction itself. But I thought you were going to be a little bit deeper.
But like the other two options you give Goldie are horrific, really.
Let's go for the dog.
I know, but I guess I suppose from your point of view that he's dead. It's not going to change anything. And
I think we have a conversation about this drunkenly once before. What if we hit someone? What would you do? Like, it's too late. The person is dead. You can't change it. So the only life you're going to ruin is your own at this point now.
Yeah.
But yeah, genuinely, hand on heart, that's what I'd do. And I'd hate myself for the rest of my life.
Freitas,
And I don't think I'd live with myself. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I don't.
I don't think it would be the rest of your life. I think you'd get over it in about 5 years.
Do you think so?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, I think you would.
Goldie sent me a horrific video last night. Absolutely horrific. Now, Goldie always sends kind of risque videos, right? And I usually watch them and laugh at them and then send them on to my friends, you know, when you get them on WhatsApp. But last night he sent a video and I can't stop thinking, really disturbing. I do think it's going to change my life and the way I look at life. So I do think there's moments in your life that do change you forever. And I'd imagine hitting someone would change you forever.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, and this is what I was looking for.
That would be one that would hit
Charlie,
me.
this is what I was looking for a moment ago. I know you're deep like that, and that video should not affect you for the rest of your life. What was sent last night, it shouldn't.
I hope it doesn't, but I can't stop thinking about it. It was disgusting.
But then, how can you say that you could live with actually killing somebody and not, own up to consequences? I think it's.
But what's the advantage of owning up, Goldie? Like, what does it get you? Do you think you'll live with yourself better?
I think maybe
just because you've been sentenced.
Maybe. It's a big if. But it's a tough decision for me.
Honestly, I don't think I'd hand myself in.
Okay.
I don't think I'd hand it.
But would you, if you didn't hand
yourself and I'm not even going to use my kids as an excuse.
But if you didn't hand yourself in and then you later found that you were caught, would you kind of regret it then? Because now there's more shame attached to it. So would you not live with the fear of being caught? And
I don't think it would change my initial action.
Okay. All right, fair enough. That's good to have.
I'm hoping to get away with this.
Andrew, thanks very much. And also to Randy for liking our stream on Twitch. As you can go through the show, we put up all the stories.
What about me? I'm called Nick. What about me?
What about Nick?
Thank you very much.
We'll thank you at Christmas, old Saint Nick, all right?
I'm talking about our Twitch who liked us there.
That's okay. I'm just very needy.
No, you're okay. Last segment of our show, folks. This is where we close it up. We come down from some of those power topics that we're talking about. Sometimes they get a little bit too heavy. But we're here to talk about our 30-day movie.
Like yourself, Goldie.
Exactly.
Like yourself.
So we're on day 21 to day 25, and it's a movie that basically a film that you dozed off in. What did you pick for this, Charlie?
I picked two films: Lord of the Rings 2 and Lord of the Rings 3.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just can't get them.
You don't get them at all? Wow.
No.
What about you?
Well, you're asking genuinely. They're the last two films I fell asleep in. Yeah.
Okay. Two films that people would rant and rave about. It looks like Nick and Andy.
Love, yeah. I don't know why I don't get them. Did I? Okay.
Yeah. The film
I loved The Fellowship of the Ring. I really did.
Oh, so it's the 2 and 3 you didn't like?
It's not even that I didn't like them. I genuinely fell asleep in them. Myself and two mates went to see them, and one of the mates loved Lord of the Rings and dragged the two of us. Go on, yeah.
I'm associating not falling asleep but not liking the movie. You know what I mean?
Probably, I don't think I did like them. That's probably why I fell asleep. But I just genuinely don't know. Okay. But interestingly, so one guy dragged the two other guys to see this film, and both myself and the other guy fell asleep in the third one, so it wasn't just me. What about you, Goldie?
For me,
that's not me making that noise.
It was for me. Nick and Andy, we're going to close out the show there. We're going to let you go.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Thanks very much for joining us.
I've sent. That's okay. I've sent a link across on the Facebook, so somebody should know who I am. And if you want to keep in contact, that's absolutely great. We'll have a look in some other time and perhaps look in on ours. That'd be fine.
We definitely will.
We'd love to. Yeah, we'd love to.
For it, we'll have a collab podcast.
How about a collab podcast sometime?
Exactly.
Look, we'll discuss finances and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, all right, listen, take care. It's nice to join you. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Thanks very much. Good night, guys.
Lovely talking to you guys. Take care. Lovely. That's what I love about guys. That's what I love about this show. Just hearing other people. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
perfect.
Really nice talking to you guys.
Yeah,
perfect.
Take care, guys. Enjoy your night.
Take care. Night.
All the best. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. Night.
See you guys.
Night.
Bye. You hang up. No, you hang up. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I love you. No, I love you more. I love you more.
Two absolute
fucking Harry, mate. Fucking Sally. Okay, two gentlemen. Yeah.
Two gentlemen that are
in Verona. In Verona. Okay. What about you, Goldie?
The same values as we have, I think. Yeah, Cellular.
I think so.
A film called Cellular with Kim Basinger and I think Jason Statham was in it.
I remember it. Yeah.
An awful movie. She's basically on the.
Wow.
He picks up a phone that's ringing, I think, on the street or in his jacket, somehow in his jacket or whatever, and Kim Basinger's on the phone. And, she's basically saying that she's going to be killed and kidnapped, and he's to try to find her. What a pile of shite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A modern version of phone book or phone booth.
But phone booth is a
phone box.
Is a fantastic
phone box. Yeah. It is a good film. Yeah, I actually like Cellular though. I did. So, did you see it in the cinema?
No, I didn't. I didn't actually see it in the cinema. I saw it on the TV.
And you watched this with your partner, did you?
Yes. Yeah.
Did she like it? She or he?
I don't know. I was asleep. So yeah, the next day 22, a film that made you angry.
This is going to sound stupid.
Go on.
12 Angry Men.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it did make me angry.
Why?
Have you ever seen that film?
It's just a modern version of it.
No, it's one film that you probably couldn't make. I don't think you could remake it. Yeah. Henry Fonda's in it.
Yeah, I think I've seen bits of it, but I thought there was an update of it.
I genuinely don't think there is, because we show it to students every year in transition year, in fourth year. It's about injustice. And I am, teacher in Lucan. In Durham, County England.
Okay. There is an update.
Yeah, it makes me angry. Is there?
There is an update from
who's in it?
1997. Jack Lemmon, George C. Scott, and Hume Cronk.
Lemmon was in the first one. George C. Scott was in the first one as well.
Well, obviously they're still fucking angry. Yeah.
Both of those lads were in the first one.
Yeah, well, they're obviously
I can see the tagline. Angry 40 fucking years later.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't just shown on TV or something?
No,
both those guys were in the first one.
Okay, well they're obviously still angry.
So who plays the man in the man in the white suit?
Jesus Christ.
He's not given a name.
He's not given a name.
Who's the first? He's not given a name. He's called the man in the white suit in the credits. It was Henry Fonda in the original.
Okay, so let me see. No. Is this a court case, yeah?
Yeah, it's all set in jury room. Have you not seen it? Love it.
I've seen bits of it. There's no man in a white suit. There's the accused, there's the guard, the judge, all the jurors, and the foreman. So there's no man in a white suit.
Yeah. So in the who's the list of jurors? He's a juror.
Oh Jesus, loads of them. There's 12 of the cunts.
Who's the first one? He's this hero. So maybe that is a remake. I don't know.
Davis,
I don't know who that is.
Scott, or Dorian Harewood, James Gandolfini, so your man from Sopranos, Tony Danza, Jack Lemmon.
Wow, yeah, so it must be a remake. Wow.
There you go. I told you it was 1997.
So they got two guys from the original. Yeah, no, I believe you. I've never heard of the remake. So that made me angry because of the way it deals with injustice. What about you, Goldie?
The Titanic.
By the way, you should watch the film. It's brilliant.
The Titanic.
Hi.
I remember, and I think I talked about the show earlier on for one of your numbers, for making me cry or something. I got so angry because I was like, why don't they have enough fucking lifeboats? Do you know what I mean? And then I was like, well, this actually could have been avoided if they had have actually done what they were supposed to do. They would have made it. But, you know, it wasn't enough for them that they were the fucking unsinkable ship that the whole world had their eyes on, essentially. They had to be the fastest too. And if they hadn't have gone as fast as they did, they would have had time to spot the iceberg. So it was literally by the fact they wanted to set world records, thousands of people died. And that angered me at the time in the cinema. And it was something that I never thought of. Because obviously that film came out, 97 or something? And early enough.
I think even earlier than that, 95 or 96, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we were fairly young at the time.
But do you think the film is setting out to make you angry about that? Do you think?
No, it's not.
Like, is that one of the aims of the film?
I guess it was probably a lack of education on my part going into the movie.
No, I don't think so. Like,
because
based on what you're saying, you felt angry that there's injustice in it, or that it's stupidity on the parts of the shipbuilders or whatever.
Well, it wasn't.
Surely that must be part
the ship
of
was built fantastically, but it was the people who White Star Lines, I suppose, the guy there.
So the ship owners,
the ship owner or the guy representing the owners wanted to set a record and basically ordered the captain, and the captain, who orders a fucking captain, like basically ordered the captain or convinced the captain to go faster and beat a record. And you know, we only knew the Titanic as being this kind of irony, you know, a ship that crashed into an iceberg. That's all we kind of knew. We didn't know why. And the film educated us a little bit, I think, in relation to it. So that's why it made me angry. Day 23, a film made by a director that is dead. And I think we might have the same one here.
Really? Okay, this is probably like one of my top 3 films of all time.
I'm a bit worried.
I watch it every Christmas. Are we thinking of the same film?
What is it?
It's a Wonderful Life.
No, we're not. I'm thinking of The Shining.
Okay, unfortunately.
The Shining.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a fantastic film.
It's a great film. Yeah, it's one of the few films that genuinely, like, really terrified me. Like, and I know you think I get scared easy. I do. Yeah, it does live up to the hype. If an 18-year-old today watched that film, I think it would scare them if they knew nothing about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a brilliant film, and the sequel was very, very good as well. What was that called again?
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep, yeah, fantastic movie, brilliant, and plays great homage to the original as well. I really enjoyed it. So yours is A Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
you love.
I watch it every Christmas, and I do. And for the first time ever, last December 2019. I saw. Isn't one of the questions on the list that you sent me a film you wish you'd seen in the cinema?
Yes, that's the next one.
Yeah, and I filled these out one by one, and I wrote down "It's a Wonderful Life" for this, and I probably would have filled that out for the next one.
Yeah.
But ironically, or luckily, I actually saw it in the cinema just last Christmas with a very dear person to me, and it was I cried. You've seen "It's a Wonderful Life"? Yeah,
I have. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, like everyone. And I cried and I laughed, even though when I watched the film on Christmas Day myself, you know, or with my kids or whatever, I don't cry, and I do cry, but I don't laugh at the funny bits. But you know the way when you're with other people in the cinema watching it, you laugh and you cry and stuff. So I went to see this in the cinema and cried and laughed. And only twice in my life have I ever applauded at the end of a film. And everyone in the cinema applauded at the end of this film. The only other time that's ever happened was, ironically, which I've never seen since that time in the cinema. Braveheart.
Oh, Braveheart.
Braveheart.
Right. Okay. And tell me.
Yeah, Braveheart.
Tell me, were you the first person to clap?
No, I wasn't. But I was crying. I cried for the last 5 minutes of that film. I just can't help myself. For the whole 5 minutes, I'm just crying.
Yeah.
You know, when he comes home and all the people start putting.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen it all in one go, if that makes sense. I think I've seen bits, excuse me, bits of the show.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know, and it is always one of those that when you start watching it, you kind of get dug into it, and you probably wake up in your head for like after being so enthralled, you wake up 40 minutes later going, "Am I still watching this?" Do you know that kind of way? And then you end up kind of continuing on.
Yeah, yeah.
It's definitely one of those films, but I might make a conscious effort to actually sit down and watch it in entirety. So
it's a great film, as is The Shining. Can I just ask when did you last watch The Shining?
Probably a year or two ago, a couple of months
before. You watch it regularly enough, then? Yeah.
On occasion, like it
the new one.
It could be one of those like you're flicking and it's there and you just put it on, you know, rather than consciously going to watch it. But I definitely did watch it before Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
No, it's a great film.
Did you see The Shining as a child? Did you?
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I didn't really get it as a kid because I would have.
But did it scare you?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's more of a psychological horror than anything else. And when I was a kid, I used to watch or read books like, you know, what do they call it? There was
James Herbert.
No, well, James Herbert when I was a bit older, but what's the word? Point horror.
Choose Your Own Adventure.
Horror books. Remember the Point horror?
Oh yeah, I remember Point horror. Yeah, I loved them.
Horror was brilliant.
Yeah.
Teacher's Pet and books like that were fantastic. And then I started watching movies like The Witch or Ouija Board or Poltergeist or whatever these kind of movies were, and they'd scare the shit out of you because it was pure in-your-face horror. Whereas The Shining, I just didn't get because it's more psychological. But as you get older, it definitely affects you, I think, you know.
Yeah, affects you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what's terrible? It did scare me as a child, but I remember my mum and dad had it on video, and I remember wanking as a young kid. You know when Jack Nicholson goes into room, whatever it is, and the woman comes out and she's really hot for about 10 seconds before she turns into an old woman. And I can remember so clearly I was about to come and I knew she was about to turn into an old woman. So I rewinded it. But I remember, you know the way now there's a whole genre of ruined orgasm?
Yeah, you're breaking up again, but yeah.
Ever heard of that genre?
Say again?
Have you ever heard of the genre in porn of ruined orgasm?
Oh, I haven't looked at ruined orgasm. I actually haven't.
Okay, it's a kind of right. So it's a genre of porn. You know, there's a genre where you basically get. So about 10 years ago there was the cuckold porn genre, and I love that. You used to love it, and I never got it, and I'm kind of coming to it late. So there was a cuckold genre, and then after that there was kind of women. Giving out
you're kind of taking
like
Charlie.
calling me a pussy and
will you
seriously
in better
I'm sitting here, I'm doing nothing. It's your fucking internet connection.
No,
I've done this for months with you and I've never had a problem.
You need to upgrade your
I'm sitting here, it's not me.
Or
I'm not upgrading my internet, it's not a problem. Okay. It's not a problem my end. I'm sitting here, I haven't moved.
Okay, what you need to do then,
I haven't moved.
It doesn't matter about moving, but you need to maybe reset your box before you come online, so you have like you need to. Everybody
sounds kind of dirty.
Everybody needs to reset their box from time to time, and you need to do it before you come on the show, so there's no issues. Okay. But yeah, you're having a wank, and you said after the cuckold porn, there's a different type of porn. What was the label?
So yeah, there was another one in between the cuckold and the one I'm talking about. But basically, I've come across a lot in the last year of ruined orgasm, where a woman actually, I know what the one in intermediary is. You know, jerk off instruction porn, where a woman is telling you to jerk off, come now, and all that kind of thing. I love that.
I don't like that.
Do you know? I love it. Right, I love it. But now it's been taken one step further by at the end when you're about to come, they ruin it.
How? What's
so they if they're showing their tits or they're rubbing their tits and they're saying, I want you to come in 30 seconds, and then you're like 15 seconds away, and then they suddenly cover themselves up. Or they stop talking dirty or whatever, and they say, I hope you came and you didn't want to come. That kind of thing. Like they try to wreck your orgasm. Check it out. Anyone who's listening in, is that a real genre or not? It is. It's called ruined orgasm.
Okay, I will check it out. It doesn't sound like something I'm interested in.
Please do.
I will. I'll give it a go tonight. Your internet connection is shite.
It's stupid.
Your internet connection is shite.
It's not shite.
I can't hear you.
It's fucking fine. It's fucking fine.
It clearly is.
You will sort out the cheap shit you're buying off Amazon or whatever. But anyway, as a child, I tried to masturbate to the bit when the woman comes out of the bathtub, but you know she's going to turn into an old witch.
Yeah.
So I remember I was nearly coming. I knew I was about to come. So I tried to rewind, to get back to when she's hot again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But by accident, I pressed the fast forward button. So when I pressed play again, she was like the old woman where her skin starts peeling off. And that was at the exact moment I came. And I remember thinking, that's going to ruin me, but it didn't. Obviously, but I remember thinking that's going to have an impact.
it clearly has, because now you're watching ruined porn. Do you know what I mean? So
but I'm not watching ruined orgasm. I'm just saying I'm aware of it.
Right.
It keeps coming up on my feed. That's all I'm going to say.
There's obviously a reason for that, but I will check it out.
Yeah,
I do remember being excited by that scene as well back in the day. So finally,
the woman who gets out of the bathtub is hot.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Very hot.
So what was the movie that you wanted to see in the cinema?
This is going to sound stupid, Goldie, because it's not even a good movie.
What is it?
Jaws 3D. So the third Jaws film, Jaws 3. But I'd love to have seen it in 3D in the cinema.
Well, it's funny that I was getting excited there. It's funny that you mentioned Jaws, because I was toying with that earlier on. And
really?
Yeah.
For this choice?
Yes, but Jaws 3D, no. 3D never worked really as a kid. You remember Halloween, there'd be a 3D movie on the TV, and you'd get these cheap-ass fucking glasses into paper or whatever.
Yeah. Never worked.
Never worked. But it has, in fairness, moved on in years. But I don't really like the 3D movies as much. Avatar was an experience. But
do you not think it would work in the cinema?
I think for certain movies, I don't want it to become standard. I think, I might decide to go to a concert. I might decide to go to a comedy show. I might decide to go to a movie. I might decide to go to a 3D movie. That's what it is for me. It's not, I'm going to the movies and it's going to be 3D. It's going to have to be an event for me. Do you know what I mean? I don't like it as standard as such.
Yeah.
But for me, it was either Jaws or Star Wars, the original Star Wars. And I was actually thinking to myself, with the Star Wars, I think a lot of people, when they went to see it, probably didn't realize how big it was going to be at the time. Do you know what I mean? They all come out thinking that was amazing, or do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know is the answer. Was it an instant hit? Because a lot of people thought it was going to be a flop when they made it. Like, they didn't think it was going to be this big film, as big as it is. And I just wonder, did that kind of become a cult following a little bit after, or was it an instant hit? I don't know. I just feel a bit strange about it. And
what do you think is the answer?
I think it probably took some time. I don't think it was an instant hit day one. I think it probably took some time. It took a bit of word of mouth, I would have thought. I could be wrong. Maybe people will let me know. But I would have thought it would have been a slow burner. Kind of like, do you ever notice when you watch the likes of Breaking Bad or The Wire or The Sopranos or any of these amazing TV shows, it's never when they come out. Like, I always be surprised that, say, for example, The Wire, that came out in, I don't know, maybe 2001 or something. But I watched it in 2009. And it took 8 years.
The Wire?
Yeah. It took 8 years for that to become a must-see TV show. Do you know what I mean? Now, maybe I was a little bit behind the curve, but something like the Breaking Bad, you watch season 1 and you realise that the first season was actually a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. So it takes a while for stuff to gain traction. I think that might have been the same with Star Wars. I could be completely wrong. They said Benji Boyle said.
Do you think there'd be any advantage to, like, are the special effects in the first Star Wars, in your opinion, good, or
for their time? Obviously,
like, they're not great.
They're not great, but at the time they would have been fantastic. Probably cutting edge stuff. And now it's good because of nostalgia. Finally, a film you like that is not set in the current era. What the hell have you put up here, Charlie?
I just put up a picture of the hot woman from the bath in The Shining, and you can see her now, 40 years later.
She probably looks the same.
No, I mean before she turns old.
Yeah.
Would you say it was the same woman, actually, the woman who gets out of the bath, and then the witch or whatever? Would you say that was the woman just done up?
I'd say probably, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if she looked like that now then. For me, film that was set in a different era. Well, it's probably because I saw this again recently, but it's Interstellar.
Interstellar, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic film. It never specifies when you sent me this today. I checked when is Interstellar set? It never specifies when it's set, but most people think it's about the end of the 21st century, so like 2090, 2100, that kind of thing. But they never specify. But I just think it's a great film.
I don't know if I'd accept it as not being made in this.
It's definitely not set in our era.
But there's nothing about it that's too futuristic, really, is there?
Well, there is. The world survives on farming. There's no more internet. There's no more computers. The idea of space travel, is officially dead.
Are we talking about the same movie here? Interstellar is with that good-looking fella. What's his name from the A-Team?
From the A-Team.
Matthew McConaughey. The other fella, what's his name?
Yeah, it's Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, he's not from the A-Team. I was thinking of the other one. Yeah, it is Matthew McConaughey. It's not set in modern times, like with just the fact that we have.
No, definitely not. No, it's set in the future.
Okay, all right.
Definitely,
well, I accept it. So it was a good movie. The ending I didn't like.
Like there's a scene when he's at his kids' parent-teacher meeting. And he's saying, the teacher is saying, look, your daughter created a havoc in class today because she brought in a book that suggested the moon landings were real. Whereas we all now know the moon landings were fake, that America just to try to win the Cold War and so on.
Maybe I dozed off.
So it's set in the future, but it never specifies when.
Okay.
Really? You know what, Goldie? I did not like the film that much when I saw it first. When I saw it again recently, it's brilliant.
I remember she sees her father behind the wardrobe and all at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, so
here?
sad.
And I thought it was like a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I thought it was a bit stupid. But maybe
watch it. No, genuinely, watch it again. Watch it again. It's brilliant. It is cheesy. It is a bit corny. But you're a dad. You'll love it. Trust me. Pork Chop here is saying the movie Dune.
Dune, yeah. That's based on, is it a computer game originally? About some kind of desert world?
Novel.
It's a desert world, I think, isn't it?
Worms coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen it. Yeah,
I have to be honest. I remember seeing the film as a kid and I didn't understand it and I haven't seen it since. Was David Bowie in that?
Possibly, but I think there was a remake of that as well, and I wanted for some reason. No, not Vin Diesel. That was the other film.
Vin Diesel.
He was in the movie.
Dune, Fast and Furious 10.
He was in a movie similar to that. Yeah, there is an original.
Yeah, actually, Vin Diesel was in a good movie set in space. Riddock or something, was it?
Chronicles of Riddock and Riddock.
Actually, guys, there's a remake of Dune arriving in December.
There is, yeah, there is. And it was originally in 1984. Okay, I must watch that again.
1984, I remember.
There's some two good suggestions tonight. Thanks again, folks.
But Pork Chop, you're saying it's quite dated now. So, I wonder. Sting, not David Bowie. Same guy, really.
Pretty much. I definitely need to give that a watch. Yeah. I definitely will. For me, it was, you're going to be a bit annoyed, I think now, Godfather. A film that you obviously love. For years I thought he bought it.
The first Godfather, goalie.
Yeah, I remember with Charlie, he loved, in my view, he loved the Godfather movies. And I remember spending one Christmas like 80 or 90 euro or pound or whatever it was at the time. Probably euro.
I love you, man. Yeah, I love you.
For the trilogy box set, special edition. And I thought it was like the best present ever. And he's like, I don't even like Godfather. I'm like, fuck you.
I watched like the first half of the first one and haven't seen any of the others.
Yeah, for some reason I thought you loved them. And have you not seen it to this day?
It's weird, isn't it?
Have you not seen it to this day? No.
I saw a bit of Godfather Part 3 and actually thought it was okay. And you know what everyone says is shit.
Yeah, the second.
So
one
I don't know.
You should watch the second one.
But goalie, can I say something, goalie? My understanding. I love you. I absolutely love you. Yeah, I know, because videos back then, like, to buy a trilogy was expensive. But goalie, my understanding of the question that it's a film made in a different era. When The Godfather was made, it's set in the time it was made. What, isn't it? You know, like it was made in the 70s and it's set in the 70s.
Well, I would have said no for starters on that, but my reading of it, made in era, would be what it's set in. So maybe we misjudged made and set. But no, The Godfather is definitely set earlier. Sure, definitely like sure.
So you think The Godfather isn't set in the 70s,
no,
even though it was made in the 70s?
I'll Google it now, but I would have said it was the 50s. And then sure, don't they go
really?
back
Why?
They go back even before that, maybe the 20s or 30s
in The Godfather Part 2, yeah. The Godfather Part 2, I think they do, yeah. I don't know. I just presume The Godfather was set in the 70s.
No,
like I was set at the time it was made.
No, it was set in the 40s and it was made in the 70s.
Really?
Yeah. So you're wrong on both fronts.
No, I didn't say it was. I said I thought it was.
No, well there you go. There you have it. So that's it for me. It was I enjoyed the simplicity, I suppose, of life back then, and you know, everyone wearing the hats and the suits, and it's a nice era, I think, in a lot of ways. A lot of innocence to it, to some degree.
Do you like the movie?
I love the movie. I absolutely love the movie.
Everyone says the second one is better. Do you think so?
The second one is very, very good. To say it's better, I'd say they're on par. I'd say they're really good movies. It took me a few watches. I tried to watch The Godfather 4 or 5 times without success. Because I could never get past the wedding scene at the start. But then
it goes on for fucking ages.
It does,
yeah.
but once you do, it's a fantastic film, and then you actually learn to appreciate the wedding scene for what it is, because you know what he's about and stuff, you know. So,
but do you not think, though, based on what you're saying, do you not think it should be edited a bit or cut? Or, I mean, listen to what you're saying. So,
no, I know, yeah, it's a hard film for people to get into, but once you do, you realize it's a masterpiece. Pork Chop.
Have you ever seen The Deer Hunter?
Yeah, didn't get into that either, I must say. I don't think I finished.
Yeah, I'm guessing because there's I think the wedding scene in The Deer Hunter to start goes on for 50 minutes. I think.
I don't think I have
in the unedited version.
I bought it on DVD at the time back in the day, but no, I haven't got through it. Pork Chop says.
But apparently, what you're saying is the same.
Yeah.
Like you got to watch the opening scene to get it, but I can't get it.
Maybe I need to go back and look at that too. A lot of movies to go back to. Pork Chop says another classic movie is Apocalypse Now. Speaking of Brando, I don't fully get Apocalypse Now, to be honest with you.
Neither do I.
It's
Yeah.
a very hard film to watch. I love the music, obviously being a Doors fan, but I don't fully get the film, and to go back to try watch it is a commitment, I think, because it is a fairly long film too, if I remember.
Yeah, it is very long.
Buzz says hasn't been able to watch the full film. Willow tried 3 or 4 times and fell asleep because I ended up laughing so much. Willow,
is that because of the size of them? That's terrible.
It's
like because of the fact it's midgets.
Didn't they go down a river at the start or something? Don't they put the baby in the thing at the start of the movie? It's a strange.
Is the person in Willow the person that's in Life's Too Short?
I don't know what Life's Too Short is.
The guy we love, the fella from The Office, Ricky Gervais.
Val Kilmer, yeah.
Val Kilmer was in Willow as well, yeah. But the dwarf, Val Kilmer isn't a dwarf.
No, I don't think it's.
I do think it's the same guy.
Is it with Ricky Gervais? Yeah, I think it is actually. I think it is.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
a lot of dwarves do look.
I don't like Willow either, but yeah, I that's terrible what Buzz is saying. That's terrible. Benji is saying The Irishman should have been cut a couple of hours. I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
I actually like The Irishman.
I thought it was a good movie. It was again overhyped.
Yeah.
Or a good show, overhyped.
Definitely overhyped. Yeah.
Again, it's going to be hard to watch it because it is very, very long. But I will watch it again at some point. It's not your typical Scorsese. It's not up there as one of the best. It's definitely not. But it's a good film.
I think it's good as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what would you cut from it? Like, how? It's not a dramatic film like Goodfellas or that one set in the island where the guy is hallucinating. That was brilliant. What was that called? You know that one set in the prison on the island? It's a deadly Shutter Island. You know, it's not a thriller like that. It's more just a study of these guys. I mean, I don't know how you could cut it. I don't think it's an amazing film. I think it's really good, but I think it needs to be long because you got to see these guys over the course of 40 years. And I love when you be introduced to a new character and then it will come up on the screen. This fella is shot 5 times in the face in 1981. You realize all these gangsters have a horrible ending, with the exception of that one guy, the character that Robert De Niro plays, Sheehan or whatever his name is.
Yeah. No, it's a good movie.
He's the only one that doesn't die that way. Yeah, it's good. I think it's good.
The problem with these things is that they get built up too much. So they do. Okay.
But that's not Scorsese's fault. That's our fault.
Oh, it is. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of another show. We didn't quite hit the 3 hours tonight. Probably stretched it a little bit too much towards the end there. But we did. I think we had a very good show. Really enjoyed it. Great to have Nick and Andrew join us earlier on. And we hope to do some more with them in the future. I genuinely, it's like meeting our counterparts, isn't it? Our UK counterparts or our future selves or something.
Maybe.
Our kind of people.
Yeah.
Come on.
Although one of them is successfully married, so we're both fucked there.
Exactly, but mirror image of ourselves.
I presume you won't be married at 55, yeah?
That's the presumption to make. But sure, listen, we never know what's around the corner. Benji, thank you very much for tuning in.
Yeah.
Randy, thank you very much for your support. Delighted to hear it. I hope the show brought as much fun as it did in previous shows. I actually was very conscious coming into this
and brought some kind of closure.
Yeah, I was actually very conscious coming into this one that maybe our stories weren't as funny or as outlandish as they were before, but I think each show brings something different, and particularly getting the new characters on, Andy and Nick earlier on, was a nice addition. So really enjoyed it. Pork Chop, thank you very much. Buzz, as always, thank you very much for joining us. Fantastic to have you on the show. Romo Clan was on with us earlier on, and everyone who joined us. It's great. Send us a like, message, whatever you want talked about on our next show. If you have a moral dilemma, perhaps, for Charlie that you'd like me to ask him in a future show, give me a shout. If you have a problem you want to ask me, dear Goldie, write to Charlie. That's it. Good night. God bless.
Charlie, if you probably want to ask you, write to me. Yeah. No, I thought, no, it's great. It's great to have so many listeners. And we will trim the show down in length, Goldie. We'll get there. So we're from 3 hours to 2.5. Eventually, we'll reach the 2 hour mark.
We will.
I think.
We'll keep. But listen, it's been great fun. I've been Goldie Metcalf.
I'm still Charlie Naughton.
And this has been Midnight in Baghdad.
And this is...
Good night and God bless.
Chasing the snake.
and hopefully Charlie sorts out his internet for next week. More content, the better.
There's no problem. There's no problem. My end. It's your end. All right.
Okay. More content, the better. Pork Chop says. Thanks very much. This is the first time we've actually continued talking after.
I think he means more content.
Be more happy.
More content. Be more happy, the better. Yeah. I totally agree with that, Pork Chop. Definitely.
Okay, myself and Charlie are probably going to go raid some other religious shows or something now. So
I think we are, aren't we? And get banned. Yeah.
One final time.
that's the only reason I do this show. I'm still Charlie Naughton, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Midnight in Baghdad, episode.
Midnight in Baghdad.
Good night, God bless.
44. What season, Goldie?
Goodbye.